Tyler Johnson was a 28-year-old from Tupelo, Mississippi. He had his own business and his father worked for him. On May 16th, 2023, due to a mental health issue, police took Tyler to a hospital. Immediately, Tyler went back to his house. He was never seen again. I'm Ed Dunsel, and this is Unfound. This is one of those disappearances where that 20-second introduction hardly does the case justice. In fact, if you've been listening to Unfound for a decent amount of time, you know we've had many episodes where the media accounts are like 1 or 2 paragraphs. Then I get a hold of a family member and you get a 3-hour epic of an interview. And you're like, wow, I didn't see that coming. What are some of those disappearances, in my opinion? Some early examples would be Eric Franks and Peggy and Patty McDaniel. In the middle of Unfound's life, Brian Cook and Cameron Remmer. And more recently, Aaron Derbyshire and Wendy Gessing. Granted, though, this may be more subjective than I realize. Well, with Tyler Johnson, it's almost like 2 disappearances in one, because he went missing, then missing. And now a summary of the case. Tyler Johnson wasn't Elvis Presley, but they do have one thing in common. They were both born in Tupelo, Mississippi. Tyler had a pretty regular childhood along with his younger brother. His parents split up, and this caused some friction with Tyler's father. However, over time, the two worked things out, and actually the father eventually worked for Tyler. How about that? Tyler was a father and kept in constant contact with his son, even though the mother got married to another man. The only big issue for Tyler was documented issues of mood swings and disorders. Yet, no one around him believed they were a big problem. So, on May 16th, 2023, a Tuesday, after about a week in which hardly anyone had heard from Tyler, he called his brother. Right away, the brother knew something wasn't right with Tyler. Eventually, police did a wellness check on him at a property that his family owned in Detroit, Alabama. Tyler went peacefully as the cops took him to a hospital. Yet, Tyler only spent 4 hours there. Evidence shows that Tyler returned home to his house in Tupelo, Mississippi, changed clothes, and took his dog. He was never seen again. Not until several days later did his family find a collection of Tyler's possessions, some are calling it a campsite, on the property in Detroit, Alabama, where police had encountered Tyler initially. In fact, this is most likely where Tyler spent that week when he was out of contact with everybody. Unfound, through the interviews I do with the guests, tries to frame disappearances in a way that makes them understandable, even though many of them seem to make no sense at all. Contemplate why logic isn't the best way to resolve disappearances, while you also try to answer these 3 questions during the interview. Number 1, if it happened, how did Tyler get from his home in Tupelo to the property in Detroit, Alabama, after he had already been at the hospital? Number 2, what did Tyler mean when he told his mother that she needed to get police protection? And number 3, did Tyler or someone else, or a combination of both, write the goodbye note? Tyler's family is open to different ideas about why he disappeared. The guest for this episode is Tyler's aunt, Tanya. Unfound news. I actually took the time over the past week to determine my accuracy rate for predicting the resolutions to disappearances. For the past 3 years, that rate is 89%. Yes, really. Next, it's a ways off right now, but I will be making an appearance at Middle Tennessee State University in May. I will keep you posted as we get closer to that time. Finally, if you are not yet a subscriber to the YouTube channel, please become one. I'd like to get to 20,000 subscribers this year. Thanks. After you are done with this episode, please go to patreon.com/Unfound Podcast. Sign up to partake in the Unfound blog, where you can see what my prediction is of what happened to Tyler Johnson. I'm so happy to have on this episode of Unfound the aunt of Tyler Johnson, Tanya. Tanya, welcome to Unfound.
Thank you.
Let's start here. Maybe this is most important. Of course, you are Tyler's aunt. What does that mean? What kind of aunt are you? Sister of his mother, sister of his father? How are you connected to Tyler?
I am his father's sister.
Father's sister. Very good. And this is the father, we're going to get into this in a moment, who actually was working with Tyler in Tyler's business at the time.
Yes,
okay.
He worked for him.
Okay, very good. So everybody knows, so we'll be coming back to that in a moment. Just in general, tell us about the Johnson family. You can talk about Tyler. Of course, we're going to be talking about one of his brothers. Does he have other siblings? Where does everybody live? A little bit along those lines.
Okay. He does. He has one brother. And Tyler's actual home is in Tupelo, Mississippi.
Okay.
Yeah. That's pretty much where Tyler grew up, is in that area, within the Tupelo area.
Okay.
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay, and when Tupelo, I think that's where Elvis is from, right? Is that correct?
That is. That's Elvis's birthplace.
All right. So that's not where Graceland. I've been through Mississippi, never actually stopped there. Is that where Graceland is, or is that somewhere else?
No, Graceland is in Memphis, which is not far from Tupelo. No.
All right.
Yeah.
And right now, all of the Elvis Presley fans are losing their minds because I don't know that. All right, so Tupelo, Mississippi, where Elvis Presley is from, for anybody who wants to know. All right, so growing up in that area, you grew up in that area too? Did you grow up somewhere else? Are you familiar with Tupelo? How familiar are you with that area?
I'm very, very familiar with that area, but I grew up, me and Tyler's daddy, we grew up in Detroit, Alabama.
Right. Right, and
very, very small.
Right, and I have to admit that even though Unfound has gone to almost all 50 states now and have done some disappearances in Mississippi and Alabama, I didn't even know there was a Detroit, Alabama. I didn't even know that, so that was an eye-opener for me for this disappearance. And of course, Detroit and Tupelo are going to play, I think, a pretty big role in this disappearance a little later. And so Tyler, Tupelo, his mother, his father, kind of, Detroit, Alabama, this kind of area of the South.
Yes.
Okay, very good. And as you stated, Tyler just has one younger brother, and of course we will be talking about him a little later. Let's just talk about Tyler. Of course, you're his aunt. How well did you get to know him? What can you say about his personality, hobbies, interests? Maybe kind of the conversations, maybe what you observed of him, just growing up to be a young man. What can you say about all that?
Well, Tyler and my two kids, they all grew up together. Oh. And Tyler they were like the Three Stooges. Their ages are really close, all three of them. Okay. And with the fact that me and his daddy, Tyler's daddy, we were very, very close. was growing up. So we all were very close family. And so I was right there from the time that Tyler was born. And matter of fact, I was the first one to ever have Tyler as a baby spend the night with me.
Wow.
And so very close to him. And Tyler was a precious child, precious baby, precious toddler, precious child.
Uh-huh.
Very, very good kid. Very heartfelt and warm little kid, giving, very polite. Just a good all-around kid.
Mm-hmm.
And then, continued that same personality growing up. Extremely smart.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody loved Tyler. Loved to have him around. Loved to, play with him as a kid. He just was. He was that kid. That everybody loved.
Yeah. How much did you see him? Of course, like you said, you were the first one to have him overnight as a baby, but maybe when he got to be 8, 10, 12, 14 years old, did you see him a lot? Did you talk to him a lot? For example, as an example, me growing up in Leechburg, Pennsylvania, my aunt and uncle, so that would be my mother's brother and his wife, they lived only like 1 yard away from me, so I got to see them a lot. In fact, I ended up working for my uncle for a few years. What about you?
I saw him quite often. At one point, his mother and him and his brother, they actually lived with me for just a short period of time while they were when he was, young, middle school. So, I mean, I saw him quite often up until up until he graduated high school. I saw him quite a bit.
Okay, so you got to know him really well.
He was like my own.
Yeah.
He was one of mine.
Okay.
Yeah.
And your children, they continued to be friends with him right up through those teen years as well?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I mean, up until he went. Well, he was up until now. They still. That's Tyler.
Okay. Very good. So, all right. Well, maybe we'll come back to that a little later. Of course, when we talked about his disappearance, maybe you could talk about it. Of course, we're going to talk about your impressions, but maybe about your I guess your son's impressions too of all of this a little later. Getting a different perspective, maybe. Okay. And going to school, did he graduate high school? What did he do for work? Like his late teens into his 20s before maybe he started this business. What can you say about that?
He did graduate high school. Okay. He graduated from Shannon High School, which is just a little town right outside of Tupelo. It's just like one of the little county high schools, which it just surrounds. It's in the same county. It just surrounds Tupelo. Okay. He in high school, he was very smart. One of those kids that he didn't have to really study. Mm-hmm. And in high school, he was very popular, had a lot of friends, and he was one of those that he had friends in all the groups, mm-hmm. like all walks of life kind of guy. Yeah. He was, one thing that I was told just not too long ago, that he was the guy that always talked to the kids that others didn't talk to. If they made fun of him, he would be the one that would go up and go, hey man, it's okay, and he'd be the one that would talk to them. He didn't care, he didn't care that they may have been a little different or whatever. He was always nice to them, always. Okay. He was just he had such a big heart.
Okay. All right. Do you think just natural, he gets that? Of course, you're his aunt, your brother is his father. He gets that. Is that something just environmental or something genetic that he got from his parents? What do you think about this part of him?
I think it's genetic. I do. Mm-hmm. His big heart. I think it's very genetic.
Okay.
It is.
Okay. So, what did he do after high school?
He construction. He's very talented. And honestly believe that that is genetic also, because his father is very talented in this. And with the construction business, Tyler is exceptional with trim work, and very sought after with that too. But he stayed kind of within the woodworking, trim work, construction, and then eventually he started his own business with Total Construction. So that's what he ended up moving right into.
Okay, so
eventually after he graduated.
All right, so he gets into the construction business, I guess, working for somewhere else or some other people, for contractors or whatever. And then, as many, and my impression, I've never been in construction, but I don't think this is an unusual path. A lot of times in construction, men and women work for others, and then they figure out how to go out on their own.
Right.
Eventually.
Yeah.
Okay. And how long did he have this business, running this business, being responsible for it before he went missing? Just approximately 6 months, a year, 2 years? What would you say?
I would say 2 years.
About 2 years. Okay.
I mean, yeah.
Okay. Very good.
Yeah.
All right. And this is construction that would just be around the Tupelo area. Sometimes, of course, you go where the work is. Did you ever have to go to Tennessee or down here to Florida, or did you just stay in that area?
I wished I knew more about how far out he went, but because I know that he went further out than just Tupelo. I do know that, but I don't know exactly how much further out he did end up going. I know it was hit and miss if he went any further, because he would do, he had so many people that he knew all over the country. I'm amazed at how many people he knows.
Right.
So he would do anything, a job. If they needed it, Tyler would do it.
Right.
So, but he definitely went out of the Tupelo area, for sure.
Okay.
I just don't know how far.
And just as an example, we're going to get into this later, he actually had friends in California.
He did.
All right, so we're gonna come back to that. That is something I think we'll have to contemplate regarding his disappearance. All right, so he's working construction. One part of his life we haven't discussed is relationships, and I understand that he is a father. How much? Once again, I don't know if we want to get into any names or anything. That's up to you. But what can you just talk about? Can you talk about that part of his life?
He is a father. He has I have a great nephew. He has a beautiful son, and that he worships the ground that child walks on, and that is mutual, because that child worships his daddy. He does, and him and the child's mother, they were co-parenting very well, and they've been together. They had been together since early high school.
Wow.
They were together, and they still continued to co-parent and be very close friends, very good close friends.
Okay.
And so she considers him her best friend.
Right, and she's going to play a role in being a witness here. Technically before he went missing, but I'll explain that in a bit. Okay, so early high school. So we have to remember he was 28 when he went missing, right?
Yes,
all right.
28 when he went missing on May the 16th, but he turned 29 in June, right after that.
Right after that. All right, so if you're saying early high school, then they'd known each other, him and this young woman, like 12 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And how old was the son at the time of the disappearance? How old?
7.
All right. And we have to remember it's going to be coming up on 3 years. So this since this occurred, so I guess he's around 10 now. So 7 years old. Born, I guess, when Tyler was around 21 years old. And like you said, he enjoyed being a father. It sounds to me like maybe the relationship between him and this woman went their separate ways at some point. I'm not here to get into the technicalities of it, but do you know how long they had been split up before this happened? Any idea at all?
I'm gonna I want to say not long, because maybe about 3 years.
3 years. All right.
3, 4. Yeah.
Okay.
3, 4 years at the most.
All right.
Yeah.
All I'm trying to establish here, it wasn't something. For example, if we're to think about his disappearance, that if the split up happened right before he went missing, then we might have to consider that. But you're saying this happened well before he went missing, well before.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, she had just, let me see, I'm trying to think back on my dates here. She had remarried.
Oh, she had. Didn't know that.
She has remarried.
Okay. By the time he went missing, she was already married again.
Yeah, she had just gotten remarried, not quite a year when he had gone missing.
All right. Very good. As best as you can tell, and maybe I should ask you maybe in that year before he went missing, did you see him a lot? Did you talk to him a lot?
I did. I didn't see him as much as I wanted to. Talk to him. We texted and talked back and forth. Okay. He actually spent the weekend at my house. 1 year before he went missing, he was at my house. Spending the weekend for my daughter's wedding.
Okay, so a year before that, he actually spent a weekend with you, just hanging out. Was that the last time you saw him?
I saw him. No, actually, it wasn't. I saw him just a couple months. I saw him a couple of months before he went missing. Was it either January or February I saw him.
All right, so right in the same year, 2023, early 2023. Yeah,
early 23, I saw him over, matter of fact, in Detroit, Alabama.
Okay. Yeah. And being that his father is your brother, once again, from the outside as the aunt, those two very close. Did those two talk a lot? Of course, I guess they worked together, but, what else can you say about their relationship?
They have been back and forth most of Tyler's adult life. They had a very close relationship up until Tyler was about middle school. And then it became very rocky because my brother was in and out of jail.
Okay.
So it got hard, and it was really hard for Tyler when he was in high school with their relationship.
Of course. Yeah.
Yeah. So then, as an adult, they had started working on their relationship, and my brother worked for Tyler, and it was looking good. It was looking really good.
Okay. And I think we're going to come back to the business here a little bit, just the overall status of it and, what was going on at the time. Let's now, I think we need to, before we get way deep into this, and as, the listener's going to have to understand, this is kind of like 2 disappearances of the same person in one episode, which might be a first after 9.5 years of covering almost 400 disappearances. So there's a lot of things that we have to understand before we get into the details of the week before and leading up to May 16th, etc. First, let's start here. What was Tyler's living situation in May of 2023?
You mean like where was
he living? Was he living by himself? Did he have any roommates, etc.?
Oh,
yes.
okay.
Yes.
He did. He lived by himself. He rented a house in Tupelo, Mississippi. He rented it from his mother. His mother owned the house that he lived in. His mother owns several rental properties in Tupelo.
Okay. Wow. Nice. Yeah. And once again, just approximately, how long had he been living there?
Almost 2 years.
Okay, so decent amount of time. And he was living there by himself, no roommates, nobody helping him pay the rent, anything like that.
Right. At the time he was living by himself. I was told not long ago that he's had roommates before, off and on, buddies. Yeah. But at the time, no, he had no roommate that actually officially lived there, no.
All right. This house house is going to become an important part of this a little later. So he's living by himself, might add roommates at one time, but not in May of 2023.
No.
Next item that we really have to go over, I'm just going to call this the property. Please explain this piece of property eventually that is part of this May 16th, 2023 story. Explain what this piece of property is. It's in your family. I guess nobody was living there at the time. Just explain it, how long it's been in the family, anything you know about the property.
The property is it's right across the Mississippi-Alabama state line. It's in Marion County, Alabama. Okay. It's a little spot in the road called Detroit, Alabama, which is very close to Hamilton, Alabama, and it's right on the Marion-Lamar County line. It's where, like I said, where me and Tyler's father grew up, and it is it's in the middle of nowhere, very rural area. No one has lived on this property for about 20 years. Wow. And it still has a house, a barn, other structures, 2 ponds, still has all of those things on it. Mm-hmm. And it's been in the family for well over 100 years. Wow. And yeah, wow. And it's surrounded by another 180 acres of property that was in our family for still over 100 years. That was my grandmother's. Wow. And it was what that's where Tyler had been going out to the property and cleaning up and cleaning it up quite a bit, cutting trees, and because it had grown up over the years, just been growing up. Yeah, that's right. And he had been going out when he wasn't working and just doing work out there. My aunt, his great aunt, he had been talking with her. Every time he'd go out, he would call her and talk to her, and she had sent me invoices that she had paid for him to have a company come out and do some they come out and cut some trees, some very large trees down. Huh. And she paid them to do it, and he oversaw it. And that was the month or 2 months before he went missing.
What anybody know exactly what the plan was? Then anybody actually asked Tyler, "Hey Tyler, well, what are you doing out there?"
No, okay. Nobody did. It wasn't no big deal. I mean, that was normal. Okay.
Well, I guess if you're gonna, I guess what I'm saying is, once again, I think maybe the general person's going to say, "Well, nobody's living there. It's empty property." Maybe somebody eventually is going to live there. Maybe tear down that house, build a new one, or something like that. It seems interesting to be putting money into a property where nobody is living. That's the only reason I'm asking you.
We all would randomly go and clean up and do things out there. The house is it was before Tyler went missing. Mm-hmm. Is livable if we kept it up, okay. And that's what we've all done. Okay. Because it is like a 5,500 square foot house. Wow.
Why does that? I gotta ask. Even though it's a little off the track of the disappearance, why doesn't anybody live there? What happened?
When my grandfather passed away, and it just kind of, everybody was in their own anyway, and it just went into the courts because they kind of just thought that they owned it. The courts decided they owned it, and we were like, no, you don't. And so we had to fight for it for a minute and say, no, you don't. So that took a couple of years to prove that they didn't, and then so here we are. Okay. All right. So he died,
so he died, and I guess it wasn't overtly clear how it was supposed to be split up, or who was. Of course, sometimes things can get kind of contentious within families regarding inheritance.
Well, not between us. It was between the courts and us. And Evidently, there was a loan or some kind of money that was taken out on it, and it was signed by somebody that didn't own it. So,
wow. All right. That sounds like a whole totally different thing, maybe outside the coverage of this
that was
disappearance.
that was way back a long time ago before, I was even old enough to know anything.
Okay. I'll just ask you this in general. How long had that property been abandoned? Nobody was living. I realize maybe people were going out there and cutting trees and everything, but as far as living there, how long had it been?
A little over, it was 20 years.
Wow.
Yeah, a little over 20 years.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, so going back to like the beginning of the 21st century. Okay, so everybody, Tyler was going out there doing these things. Everybody knows that he was going out there, but we should indicate this was not near where he was living. It was like an hour away or something like that.
Oh yeah, 45 minutes minimum.
Okay.
It's just right across the Mississippi-Alabama line. Just not very far at all.
All right, so it wasn't like a 5-minute trip from where he was renting from his mother to do this. It was a concerted effort, a little bit of a drive to go over there and fitting that into his life. He'd have to drive an hour or something over there if he wanted to do anything over there or somebody else was coming in to do something.
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to walk it.
Okay.
You're gonna have to drive.
Yeah, you're going to have to drive. Very good. And people knew this was going on. And in fact, you knew this was going on. He's going out there, trees getting taken down and everything.
I didn't know about that until my aunt told me, until after Tyler went missing.
Okay.
I didn't realize the extent of it.
Okay. Before Tyler went missing, were there any plans for this property? Had you and other people in your family, depending on who the actual owner is and everything else, been talking about, well, maybe we need to clean it up and sell it. Maybe we need to fix that house up and rent it. Like Tyler's renting a house. Maybe somebody else can rent that. Any discussions on about the future of that property in 2023?
There has never been any talk of selling, ever.
Okay.
And nobody wants to sell it. And there has never been any concrete plans, and we all have ideas and hopes and dreams of something.
Yeah. Of
living there, of everybody living there, of turning it into like a bed and breakfast, or things like that.
Yeah. Okay.
That kind of thing.
But here
it's beautiful, and it's
it sounds like you said it. What, 180 acres? Did you say?
Well, it's surrounded by 180 acres, but it's sitting but it's smack in the middle of it. Okay. And it's wooded also. It's just a very quiet, serene, rural area.
All right, sounds spectacular. Now we're gonna talk about that later here when we get to May 16th and some other reasons, but we just wanted to make sure we understand this property. And we've already talked also about the distance between where Tyler was renting in Tupelo and this location, which is, like you said, minimum 45 minutes away. And in fact, it's in Alabama, not Mississippi. Oh, now I need to, get a little more serious here. I think we also need to understand a few weeks, maybe going even back to the end of April, there was this talk that Tyler had with his mother. I, of course, understand that you were not a party to this call, but this talk where Tyler is telling his mother something about trouble or something like that. Did you know about this at the time? Who told you about it? What can you say?
I didn't know about it when it happened. I was told about it by Tyler's mother, and she told me that a conversation that they had, it was right the last, it was 2 weeks before he went missing. And it was a conversation that he told her that that he felt that someone was after him. Some bad people were after him, and that he felt that she needed to, that her and his little brother may need some to protective custody, or they needed to get some, somebody to protect them because there were some bad people and they may come after them.
Wow. The way you understand it did he call her to specifically tell her that, or did this just kind of pop up in the middle of a conversation? What can you say? Any idea?
From what I understand, it was in the middle of a long, heated conversation between the two of them. They were on the phone for a while.
Okay, that's what she told you.
That evening. That's what she told me. And that evening that they were on the phone. And then, of course, I double-checked the phone records.
Okay. And you said it was a heated conversation. I don't know if we want to get into that. You didn't. I'm going to guess maybe she told you what it was about, but I don't know if we want to go there. But given that he went missing, this is certainly a topic that needs to be discussed. She said within this conversation that he expressed to her there was something going on, people after him, and it may spill over to her and his brother.
Right.
Okay. Do you think that his mother took that seriously, or was this once again in the heat of a conversation? If they were arguing or something, was this just something said in spite, or would you say that his mother, maybe even your brother, I'm guessing he found out about it as well? Did you all take it very seriously?
That's why she was telling me about it, is because she was letting me know that she did not take it seriously at the time.
She did not. Okay. Well,
not at the time.
Okay. And I don't think she can be overtly blamed, especially if Tyler was living a pretty good life and then he says something like that. You know, maybe we all said things to our parents and other people that we regret. Maybe it's something like that. But at the time, at the end of April, whenever this occurred, it doesn't seem like anybody was taking it seriously. For example, his mother didn't go to the police and say, hey, I think somebody may be after me. Nothing like that.
No.
Okay.
She didn't repeat that to the police when he went missing.
All right. And once again, not blaming anybody. We know, once again, sometimes things are said in the heat of the moment that aren't meant, and you look back at it a month later, it's like, why the heck did I say that? Okay. But also we should know, though, in talking to his mother, who you know very well, did he mention any names? John Smith, Jane Doe. If he did, don't say the names. But did he say any names?
No, he didn't. He didn't. I wish he would have.
Well, I do too. Did she get an idea? Did this have to do with his business? Did it do with his personal life? Or once again, was this just one of these emotional utterances in the heat of an argument about something?
She didn't get any information like that. If she did, she didn't repeat it.
Okay.
But it wasn't anything like that.
Okay. All right, moving on. Tyler's business. You said maybe a maximum of 2 years. His father is working for him. As best as you can tell, how was the business going there in 2023?
As best as I could tell, it was going very well. And I mean, just by outside looking in, it looked like it was going pretty dang good. And then I didn't realize how well until I got up. My brother gave me a lot of paperwork, and as I'm going through all this paperwork, I found invoices from the business, and they're dated from January, February, March, and wow, business was good.
Okay, construction business was good. Maybe we shouldn't be surprised by that. A lot of people moving from the northern United States to the southern United States. I'm one of those people myself. And, Alabama, Mississippi, maybe good tax structure, people moving in, maybe fixing up homes, land prices going up, values of homes going up, people making additions to their homes. Maybe that's not so crazy, right? That seems to make sense.
Right, yeah.
Okay. So you saw these invoices, and it was not like, for example, you were seeing all these bills and Tyler was deep in debt. No, not at all.
Right. No.
Okay. And I think that makes sense given that, he's renting from his mother. Maybe she's giving him a break on the rent, and maybe if if there is a problem, maybe she can let the rent, whatever he's paying, if he was even paying, maybe let it slide for a month. Maybe that's not so crazy. Of course, he has a child. They can be expensive. But as far as you can tell, financially, Tyler was in an okay place for a 28-year-old.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Moving on, this is a topic that is discussed almost every time on episodes of Unfound, even if there's, factually no reason to bring it up, but it comes up anyway. What about Tyler's mental health? Ever been diagnosed with anything? Anybody over the years ever say, you know what? Tyler has a problem with depression. Tyler might be bipolar. Tyler this, Tyler that. Anything like that?
I've never seen anything on paper, but I've been told that he does have a diagnosis of a mental health disorder, and that he takes medication, that he is prescribed medication for it.
Okay.
That he does need it because it's like a mood, his mood stabilizer.
Okay.
And so, that can cause some issues if he, doesn't take it the way he should, or if he's not taking it regularly.
Did you and Tyler ever talk about that one-on-one, or was that just something you two never discussed?
Well, he hasn't been diagnosed or been taking medicine for very long.
Okay.
So we haven't really had the opportunity up to this point to really discuss it a whole lot. I've only been able to really talk to him one time about it, and it wasn't for very long at all. So it was just kind of just a little bit. I think we really texted one time about it, so we didn't even get to really discuss it.
Okay. And when you said not very long, do you mean like less than a year?
Like a year or two.
Year
Probably
or two, or something that came up and he thought, maybe I need
a year.
Maybe needed to get help for it.
I'm trying to think. I'm thinking maybe my mother, his grandmother. My mother passed away in 21. Tyler went missing. So it's been since my mother passed away up until he went missing in 23. So between 21 and 23.
No more than 2 years then that something, and we're not sure how this all came about. Did somebody say, hey, Tyler, you got to go get help? Or maybe he noticed something within himself. Does anybody know?
It happened, or some major mental, some things happened in 2020.
Okay.
Tyler was staying with my mother, and he that's when he ended up getting diagnosed, was during that time.
Okay.
From what I'm told.
Okay. All right. Once again, not uncommon. Talk about that a lot.
Right.
Sometimes it leads to disappearances, and sometimes there's other things that cause disappearances. What about drugs? Any addictions? You have any drug problems? And yes, I would include marijuana in this. Anything along those lines?
Addictions, no. Tyler no addictions, was not a drinker at all. Now, the one thing that I can tell you that I do know of for sure is marijuana. And recreational drugs, yes. Other things, I don't know for sure because I've never seen it with my own eyes. I have heard of it from other people. Yes, I've heard of it with him. And I've also heard, and quite a bit, that he was very resourceful and that he could pretty much help anybody out with anything that they needed.
You mean when it comes to drugs?
Yes.
Okay. All right. And so we're talking things beyond marijuana. Could we be talking about like opioids? Are we talking like, of course, another popular drug that we talk about on Unfound is meth. Things along those lines?
Yeah.
Okay.
Things along, well, something more than marijuana.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely marijuana, and since he's gone missing, I've heard more than that, like more than marijuana.
Okay,
Yeah.
you just heard.
I had
to be clear though, you've just heard things. Is there any evidence? For example, in his house, we're going to talk about this site on the property that we've ever discussed. We're going to eventually discuss anything there that would lead people to think he was deep into something.
His mother someone told his mother that they found drugs in his house after he went missing.
Okay. All right. We'll just leave it at that. All right.
Yeah.
Let's move on. 2023. Of course, we're talking about May of 2023, so we have at least 4.5 months of data there. How was Tyler, as far as everybody could tell, how was Tyler doing in 2023 leading up to all of this?
How was he doing?
Yeah, anybody concerned about it? Anybody saying, you know what, Tyler, I don't know. You know, some things are going on with anybody concerned about it. We know about this call with his mother, but like I said, that could have just been in the heat of the moment. Maybe he meant it, maybe he didn't. Just overall, everybody, like a consensus on how Tyler was doing in his life.
Evidently so the consensus with everyone that I have spoken with.
Well, let's just say at the time, not after we. Of course, everybody's memories can get a little subjective, being that we know that he went missing, and then people start picking things out and maybe seeing things that really aren't there. I'm just talking about at the time before he went missing. Was anybody concerned about him?
No, the only person that I know of was my brother.
Okay, and if you could say, what did he say about Tyler? Was something you could say?
He was just worried about his moods. He was just worried about his moods, and thought maybe he was like low on his meds or something.
Okay. And I just want to make sure we're looking at it in the moment in 2023, because in 2026, and by the way, we're doing this interview on January 21st of 2026, so we're coming up on 3 years here in a few months.
Right.
But it's easy now to look back at everything and say, well, you know what, there was this and there was that, and you can't be too sure if that's real or it's being that everybody knows that he went missing. Everybody starts picking out things, where there was that conversation and he said this, we can go off on all sorts of tangents. That's why I try to just stick to it.
Right.
In 2023 terms, at the time, was anybody concerned about Tyler? And what you're telling me is really, as far as you know, only his father, your brother, was the one who said, you know what, maybe maybe he was struggling with something.
Well, I mean, I do know that my great-nephew's mother was worried about him then, and she didn't know why. I mean, she was concerned, and after he went missing, she was concerned about him, but she didn't know, why or anything. But that's just, that was just her being normal. She, the normal stuff.
All right. Once again, I'm just trying to look at it in 2023 terms before he went missing. Anybody, saying, you know what, I'm concerned about Tyler because of this, because of this, because of this, and then he goes missing.
Right.
In contrast to, he went missing, well, this could have been going on, well, that could have been going on. There's a difference. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on now. Of course, we're moving up now to around May 9th. So already we were at the end of April. He has this conversation with his mother. It was heated. Who knows what they were arguing about? Surely almost has nothing to do with the disappearance. But during that conversation, he brings up about people after him, something to that effect. So now we're coming maybe not even 2 weeks later. We're coming up to May 9th. And I'm actually going to go, in fact, within the outline that we're following for this discussion today, I'm calling this the first disappearance in essence, Tyler was out of contact with everybody starting around May 9th. What can you tell us about the time? Were people aware that, he might not be at home or nobody had heard from him? What can you say about that, if you can remember back to almost 3 years ago?
It's unreal when you think of it that way.
Yeah.
Okay, May 9th is he called his son, and like 2 or 3 times when he finally got in touch with them, and he FaceTimed his son, and was on the phone for quite a while, an hour and a half or so, like maybe even 2 hours, and talked for quite a while, and it just, it lasted for longer than normal. That was not normal for that length of call. And then tried to call back later. And that was the last time that any of us on this side of the family actually spoke to Tyler.
Okay.
Was May the 9th.
Do we know where Tyler was during this phone call or this FaceTime?
He was at home.
All right, home in Tupelo, Mississippi. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and being that the son, I guess, was 7 years old, is this one of those things where the mother is a witness to, or do we only have the 7-year-old's word as to what they discussed?
Oh, no. She was a witness, and her mother was a witness.
Okay.
They were all right there. Yes.
All right, and you said it was a lot longer than usual, but the content of it, was the content unusual as well, from what you have been told?
From what I've been told, the content was pretty normal, except they did say that he was very, it seemed kind of odd because he's like, exceptionally, do you know how much I love you, buddy? I love you. He just really emphasized, I want you to know how much I love you. You're so good. You're such a good boy. And he just really emphasized it quite a bit, more than normal.
Okay. All right, but so the length was unusual, but would you say, as best as you can tell, when they got off that FaceTime, was anybody like, man, we're really worried about Tyler? Once again, going back to, were people worried about Tyler because was the mother of the child and her mother worried about Tyler after this, or did they think, well, Tyler was just in a mood?
I don't think that they really discussed it. I think she just kind of kept that to herself, and she just overly thought about it, and it kind of stuck with her.
Okay.
And just kind of worried a little bit, maybe.
All right, so his FaceTime, he's being a good father, talking to his son, being very positive with him, telling him how much he loved him and everything else, but within the context of it being an hour and a half and saying some things over and over, maybe that is a little unusual in retrospect. So now in 2026, after that, did Tyler make any known contacts with anybody during that week, once again, that is known? Of course, using phone records or people's memories, has anybody ever come forward, friends or family, to say, yep, I talked to Tyler that week. Yep, I saw Tyler that week.
Okay. The next time that anybody said that they saw or talked to Tyler would be my great nephew's mother, and she saw him on that following Thursday. That would be the 11th.
Yes, that is correct. 11th is correct, yes. So 2 days after the FaceTime, we have May 11th, a Thursday, and she sees him. How did please describe that?
She saw him at a red light, in Tupelo, Mississippi. And they were like 2 cars away, like had pulled up, and she saw him like 2 cars away. Kind of glanced over, and she kind of looked, and it was him. He had pulled up in his truck, and one thing that we noticed is that he had the work trailer still connected to the truck. And she kind of looked over, and she thought, "Oh, I'm she's going to either try to pull him over, like maybe wave at him or something, or try to stop by and say hey or something. And she said that he looked down and looked back up, and they were waiting at the light, and that he looked at his phone, like held his phone up and looked at his phone. And she just said he looked devastated. But the look on his face just looked, she's like, I know Tyler's face, and he just looked devastated. But anyway, they ended up going on through the red light, and she just kind of lost him through the light, and she didn't stop him.
All right, so this is one of the situations, maybe we've all been there. You're just out somewhere, and coincidentally, you come across a family member or friend in another car, but they're in their own little world, maybe talking on their phone or listening to their music, that you can't even get their eyes are like on the road, you can't even contact them. They're in their own little world. Kind of that situation.
Yeah, and she had things to do. I think that was her graduation week or whatever, and just like kind of like, I'll catch up with them, So that was that on that Thursday, the 11th.
All right, so they're sitting. They're sitting there in traffic. I mean, he's not right beside her. I guess you said maybe he was a lane away, and maybe she's trying to yell at him or wave or anything, and he's on his own little world, not really paying attention to anything else.
Right, except for his phone.
His phone, yeah, like all of us.
Yeah, yeah, and he just kind of kept looking down at it, and she just said he looked devastated, stressed. She just remembers him looking really seriously, something going on there.
Okay. All right, and once again, to ask this question, so we have this witness, certainly believable, somebody who knows Tyler well, have seen him many times before. Of course, coincidences do happen in traffic, so I'm inclined to believe this. But about anything else over that time, anybody else see him? And once again, anybody ever admit talking to him if he's looking at his phone, maybe he was, texting with somebody. Anybody who's come forward in the past 2.5 years to say, oh yeah, during that time I texted with Tyler. I talked to Tyler.
No. By going by his phone records, we called and talked to someone that he called on Friday night. Off of his phone records, and talked to two different people that is around about the same time off of his phone record on Friday night. And one of those people said that he called them and said that there was something wrong with his truck, and they said that Tyler sounded kind of like maybe he was drugged or drunk. Like he sounded like he may have been having a good time, and that there was something wrong with his truck. And then the other person that we called and talked to, another friend of his that was off of his phone record around about the same time on Friday night, said Tyler sounded fine. There was nothing wrong with him, and that he was just calling to talk and chatted up a little bit for a minute. And so, yeah, they both said that they talked to him, and that's what they both said.
All right, and that's what the phone records show, too.
Yeah.
Okay,
so but that's all we got off of those two.
All right, so I will go through this for everybody. So we have Tuesday, the FaceTime with his son. Then 2 days later, on the 11th, we have this sighting in traffic. And then the next day, in the evening, maybe night, let's just say 36, maybe 30 hours later, we have these couple of calls where one person who knows Tyler well said, well, he sounded a little out of it. But then another friend said, no, he sounded fine. Mm-hmm. And they just had regular conversations, but it was something about his truck having a problem.
Yeah,
all right.
One of them said that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And maybe there is some evidence of that we will certainly eventually get to. But after Friday, is that the last sighting or talking to Tyler until we get to that Tuesday?
So on Saturday, there's after Friday, there's nothing on his phone record until Saturday. There's one phone call coming into his phone, and it's from his mother.
Okay.
But it only lasted a minute, and so nobody picked up.
Okay.
But one of his very close friends said that she spoke to Tyler Saturday afternoon, but it's not on his phone record. And says that he told her that he was at the waterfall in Alabama, and that he was camping, and that and she was trying to get him to tell him that he needed to come on back because it was supposed to storm, and that they talked for a little while off and on, back and forth, but she didn't tell me how they spoke, because even if he would have been on his phone, there's no way he could have been, because out at the waterfall in Alabama that she's talking about, there's absolutely no service.
Okay.
So I don't know how they talked, but it's not even on his phone record. I don't know.
Okay.
But she says that they did.
All right. And did she say he called her or she called him?
She did not say.
She didn't say. Okay.
No.
So what about, all right, so I don't know what to think of that. So what about Sunday, Monday, and of course we're getting here to Tuesday, the 16th. What about those next few days?
Nothing else until Sunday. There was one phone call that went out of his phone, and it was just a random number, Alabama number, and it only lasted for 1 minute. Just one random number went out of his phone. Still no text, no phone calls, and then nothing else until Tuesday morning. He called his brother.
Okay. So I have to ask, being that he ran his own business, what happened to the business that week? No work to be done? Or how did being that his brother was working for him, how does your brother explain that week? It doesn't seem like Tyler's doing anything. I mean, what was going on with the business during this time?
They took off. Evidently the week before, like I guess the Friday or the weekend before the 9th.
Okay.
And they finished a huge job, and they were taking some time off. So they were off that week. They weren't doing anything. Okay. I did find out that they had a job coming up, and Tyler had made arrangements with another friend or another person that had another like a LLC construction, and he had made arrangements and gave that job to someone else.
All right. And was the idea that come that next Monday, so that would be the 15th, that they would be going back to work somewhere, or?
Yes, from what I understand, yes.
Okay, so this week, of course, May 9th, 2023 was a Tuesday, so the work week, I guess, starts the day before the 8th, and it was prearranged the week before that they were all just going to be taking that week off. Anybody else?
Yeah.
And maybe I should ask, how many people work for Tyler? Tyler, his father, who else? Numbers.
I think it was just off and on different people. I only found one other person that worked, that I only had a receipt for one person. And I think they were not full-time. So I think just different people would work for him depending on jobs. You know, It was hit and miss who worked for him, but my brother always did. Okay. You know.
Okay. And all right. During this time, now in retrospect, anybody now think back to that time and was like, well, you know what? It was kind of weird how Tyler was silent. Did people realize at the time, or was this just seemingly a regular week for everybody?
Well,
between the 8th and 9th and then the 16th, I mean, was anybody in retrospect, well, now that I think about it, it really was, did anybody notice that Tyler wasn't around maybe as much as he usually was?
Well, for me, and it would have been normal for me because I live further away than everybody. Yeah. And so I wouldn't have known, and so my brother just kind of expected it because they were off, Mm-hmm. And then nobody else has come forward with any information. So nobody's told us any different. But even, so I wouldn't know.
Okay. All right, I guess
said
what we're
anything.
saying is since Tyler went missing, nobody's come up to you or, maybe his mother, maybe your brother, and said, that now I think about it, it really was weird how I didn't hear from Tyler that week. I guess what I'm saying is it just doesn't sound to me like anybody really realized that Tyler was kind of out of communication with most people.
Well, he, the night was a Tuesday.
Yeah.
And so, and then he talked to, he talked at people, and then he talked to, a couple of friends on Friday. So he was out of, and then he kind of just drops off Friday evening and kind of just disappears. So
okay.
I guess it was kind of like he talked to people kind of off and on for 2-3 days or whatever, and nobody just really realized that he was not around. I don't know.
Okay.
I'm not real sure.
That's totally fine. It's just questions I have to ask. So on Monday, of course, so starting the week of, May 15th of 2023, and then they're supposed to get back to work. I guess nobody went back to work, or what happened that day regarding the business?
On which day? On Monday?
May 15th to 2020, before everything happened at that property. Of course, they should have been going back to work on the 15th, but what happened?
Right. I don't know. I honestly don't know.
All right, that's fine. Let's now move up then to May 16th. This is a big day, a very important day in trying to understand this disappearance. But I think everybody's now understanding why I'm saying this is there was like a disappearance before the disappearance where perceptually he went out of communication with most people beginning the week before. He FaceTimed with his son, but that was like a full week before the 16th. He just coincidentally ran in traffic, was seen by somebody, and then we have these couple of calls on that Friday night. Then we have this, I don't know if I'm supposed to believe this other call about the waterfalls and stuff or not, but seemingly within a week, as best as you can tell, 2.5 years later, he only spoke to 2 people that entire week.
Yeah, from what I can tell.
Okay, all right. Let's go up to May 16th. Of course, you were not there, but what went on starting in that morning as has been described to you?
That my younger nephew gets a phone call from Tyler early on May the 16th that morning, and then they start calling back and forth and then texting back and forth, and it's kind of a mixture of the two, of the text and call. And that Tyler's phone is I guess he needs to charge it, and because the charge, he's losing the charge, and that he seems distraught. He seems upset. That Tyler seems upset, and this is according to my younger nephew, Tyler's little brother. And that they are trying to talk back and forth, and then Tyler tells him that he needs to charge his phone in his truck. Well, while he's evidently charging his phone in his truck, and he's not able to talk to him, is when his little brother calls me.
Called you?
And tells me, yeah, he calls me, and he's telling, and he makes, I think I had 3 missed calls from him, and I couldn't answer the phone because I was at work, and I couldn't answer the phone. So, but I could feel the phone vibrating, and I knew that after a couple of times, I'm like, okay, this has got to be important. And when I call him back, and this is what he tells me, he says that Tyler's missing. And I said, what do you mean he's missing? He said, he's been missing. We haven't been able to get in touch with him for a couple of days.
Okay.
And I said, okay, and I'm like, what are you talking about? What's going on? And he said, well, we we haven't been able to reach Tyler in a couple of days, but I think I know where he's at. And I said, well, maybe he's not missing. If you know where he's at. He said, well, I think he's out at the property. And I said, okay, what makes you think that? And he said, well, he said that he had to charge his phone in his truck. And I think that's where he's at, because, he spends a lot of time out there. And I said, well, that's a big possibility, because there's no running water, no electricity out there.
Right.
So I said, well, what's going on? And he said, well, he seems like he's depressed. There's something going on. He seems really stressed out. He says he might as well just end it all. He's just going to end it all.
Huh.
I was like, what? And I'm like, what is going on? And he said, well, you know what? I'm kind of tired of it. I'm just kind of sick of it, and I'm just gonna call his bluff. I'm just gonna call his bluff. And I said, all right, hold up. And he said, we got to get, I just feel like we need to go out there and check on him. And I said, yeah, okay, fine. We're going to just get somebody out there. So that's how that conversation went.
Okay. Why did he call? Why did the brother, Tyler's younger brother, your other nephew, why did he call you? Why didn't he call his mother?
At this time, he said that Tyler's mother was at Tyler's house, trying to look for clues or look for any kind of evidence on where Tyler could be.
Okay. All right.
Searching through his house.
All right, so I guess what we're saying is, at some point, I don't know if it was Sunday or maybe Monday the day before, at some point, Tyler's mother, maybe Tyler's brother, at some point, somebody did realize, you know what, something's not right here regarding Tyler and not hearing from him. Eventually somebody did occur to somebody.
Yeah.
Or being that they were trying to contact him, and even his younger brother said to you, yeah, he's been missing.
That him and his mother could not reach Tyler.
Right, so there was a realization. There was a realization at some point that something wasn't right.
Yes.
With Tyler. Okay. So he calls you, and they think he's out the property, although I don't know if there's any proof of that. So what ends up happening after the younger brother talks to you?
Well, he calls me because I'm the one that has to call Marion County to get them to go out there, and I'm the one that has to take care of that, and with the physical address to the property, and because his mother, and that's another reason, his mother has nothing to do with that property, and all of those things. So because it's on this side of the family,
right? She married into the family. She married into that property. It's not her heritage that has had it. It's your side of the family that's had it.
Right.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Right.
And it's they've been separated many years. So I hung up with him and took care of all of that. Called Marion County out there. Called Marion County deputies and sent him out there for a wellness check to see if he was there and to make sure everything was okay. And from there on, and Marion County was on their way out there, and from what I understand, Tyler's mother left Tupelo, Mississippi, and started heading out that way also.
Huh. All right.
Yeah.
Okay, and turns out that everybody was correct. He was out at this property, of course, that we've already discussed. It was, it was abandoned for like 20 years. We talked about the 180 acres. We've already discussed this. This is the very reason we brought it up early in this conversation. And so the police get there. I guess his mother eventually gets there, and I realize you weren't there, but what were you told happened?
Okay, I was told on the deputy side of it that they get there and that Tyler was walking out of the woods They pull into the driveway, and you cannot see the house from the driveway. It's extremely long, and he was walking out of the woods, and they yelled his name, and that he laid down on the ground, and that they had gotten up to him, and that he paused something over his shoulder. Don't know why, don't know what, and that they did ask him what it was, and he told them it was a necklace, and that according to them, his mother wasn't there yet, but she got there pretty soon. They said that he seemed fine. He seemed okay to them, and he went with them willingly to go get checked out, make sure everything was okay, and that he seemed okay to them, and that, and that they gave his mother his phone and wallet out of his truck. So his phone and his wallet was still in his truck, and they took it out of his truck and gave it to her. And then they took him in their vehicle and took him to the Hamilton, Alabama hospital is where they took him.
Okay. And we have to be understood, this is like a wellness check. Tyler did not break the law. There was no vandalism or anything. It was simply, police were told, you know what, we got this young man out here, might not be in his right mind. He sounds a little distressed, would like you to go check on him, and that's why they showed up. So they're showing up just being real friendly. Hey, Tyler, what's going on? You maybe need some help.
Right.
That's all it was.
Right. Yes, it was a wellness check, and Tyler went with them willingly because his mother wanted him to.
All right, and she was there, though, by the time they were leaving, as you stated.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And Tyler did not try to run off or anything. He went willingly.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
What you were told, did Tyler kind of understand everything that was going on? Did he understand why the police were there? Did he understand why his mother was there? Did he understand what this was all about?
Yes.
He did.
He did.
Okay.
He did.
Okay. And how soon did you find out after this happened? Were you called as soon as it happened, or were you getting a step-by-step process, or did you not find out the resolution to this until they had already taken him to the hospital? When did you find out further information about this?
I pretty much was a step-by-step play from my younger nephew. I knew that he was there pretty much. Well, I knew he was there before he got to the hospital. Before they got him to the hospital, I knew that they had found him.
Okay. All right.
I knew that he was there and they had found him and that he was okay.
Okay. Very good. Your understanding, just general understanding of what happened when they got to the hospital. I mean, this isn't something as straightforward as the police dropping him off and leaving, or do they stay with him until a doctor or nurse looks at him, or what? What do you know?
Well, I know that Marion County didn't stay with him at Hamilton. They pretty much dropped him off and let them take over there because he got to Tupelo so quick. Because the ambulance took him from Hamilton to Tupelo, and that is only because that is just what they have to do. It's not because it was an emergency or anything. It's just you have to be transported by ambulance. They can't just throw you in one of their cars. It has to be ambulance. And he got to Tupelo so fast, but so they took him to Hamilton Hospital, and then Hamilton is owned by the same hospital system that is in Tupelo. It's owned by the same hospital system, North Mississippi Medical Center, and they transported him from Hamilton across the state line to the Tupelo Hospital. And then at Tupelo, I'm sure that there's still, like I said, I doubt there was any kind of law officer or any kind of authority that is with him at that point at all.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm almost positive there's not.
All right, so just to understand, he gets taken to one hospital and then he gets taken to another.
Right.
All right. And
Yes.
we have to remember the reason being that he was in Alabama at this property, and then he eventually ends up at a hospital in Mississippi. So they took him across the state line. Okay.
They did.
Okay.
And same hospital system owns
Right.
both of those hospitals.
Gotcha.
The little one in Hamilton, that hospital's very, very small, and it's not equipped, or it's small. Okay. It's like a little community center almost.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right, so the way you understand it, though, so everybody's at this property that we've already talked about. The police leave with Tyler. I guess his mother leaves, and they just kind of leave everything where it was. His truck's there,
yeah.
And of course we're going to find out all this other stuff that it was eventually found there. But all that stuff was essentially just left there, as best as you can tell. Okay.
Yes.
So what did everybody think was going to go on when he got to this hospital? That he was going to be there for a day, for 3 days? Did anybody have any expectations about this?
Yes, 72-hour hold is what the intention was. His mother left the property and headed back to Tupelo to try and get a 72-hour hold. She wanted him to stay and get mentally evaluated, and have, the whole evaluation to make sure everything was okay, and all those things. And of course, Tyler did not want to, from what he was saying to the deputies, that he didn't feel like he needed to, but she wanted him to, and that was her plans were to go and try to get that court ordered, or get somebody to sign that, or whatever the process is for that. That was what she was doing. And so that's what we thought was happening at that point.
Okay. But that didn't happen, right? That did not happen.
No, okay. That's not what happened.
That's not what happened. Now in 2026, do you have any understanding why that didn't happen? Has somebody at that hospital or any medical professional been able to explain to you, or his mother, or his father, what happened there? Did he get slipped through the cracks, or what happened?
We've never been given a full, total explanation of what exactly happened. No, never really been given a full explanation. Okay. It's still kind of a guessing game.
Okay. Where we're going for this with this audience is the next day. Turns out Tyler wasn't at the hospital that next day, so the May 17th. How was this discovered that he wasn't at the hospital anymore?
His mother called the hospital the next morning, and she was on her way there to try to see Tyler. And they told her that he wasn't there, that he was let go at around 3:30 the day before.
So 3:30 wasn't even there very long. Of course, this happened on Tuesday morning, and then by 3:30 in the afternoon, he's gone. So he's only at the hospital maybe 4 hours, 5 hours.
He wasn't there long. I mean, it's crazy how quickly that was.
I agree with you, especially since he was brought there on on a wellness check. It's not like he was getting stitched up because he sliced his finger with a knife. Where you go in there, you get stitched up, you go home, and maybe that's 4 hours. Certainly not something like this.
Yeah.
Okay. So she calls, he's not there. What goes on the rest of that Wednesday? I'm guessing you eventually found, maybe she called you and told you this, or you found out somehow. What went on for the rest of that day, that Wednesday?
Oh, panic.
I bet.
She didn't call me till that night, but I already knew, of course. But so she immediately calls. I don't know who she called first, but I do know that she called my younger nephew, and then and she also called my brother. And I don't know who else she called, but I know she called those two people. And then they both go, or she goes to Tyler's house, and then the other two, they both go to Tyler's house, and they all are at Tyler's house, like trying to find Tyler. And there's no sign of Tyler anywhere. And the only thing that they can see or they see of Tyler is his discharge papers from the hospital and the dirty clothes that he had on that he was wearing at the hospital.
All right, so this is very important. There is proof that he went back to his house after he was at the hospital in Tupelo.
Yes.
Absolutely 100% factual proof he was there because, like you said, his clothes were there and some sort of paperwork from the hospital.
His discharge papers.
Discharge papers. Mm-hmm. And how far is the hospital from where he was renting from his mother? How far?
If you were to walk, it would take you 45 minutes at the most.
Very close. Very.
It's the same town.
All right. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so they go there, and he's, of course, not there, but there is proof he was there.
Absolute proof that, the dirty clothes he had on in his papers.
Okay. All right, so this is Wednesday the 17th, and the way you remember, what goes on over the next several days? I just have some questions right here in the outline. Your memory, what were people then doing, looking for Tyler? Was there concern? Any proof that anybody saw or talked to Tyler, maybe later in that day after he left the hospital? What were people saying? What was your brother saying, his father saying, the next several days? I'm guessing maybe somebody went back out to the property. Could he have gone back out there? What was everybody saying and doing once that was discovered?
My brother left the house, Tyler's house. Well, the first thing that my brother did was, or not the first thing, but he started looking for a couple of items that were really important, and that he knew was there, and they weren't. They weren't there, and he kind of panicked a little bit, and he left the house and he went straight to the property in Alabama to look for Tyler. Because that's where Tyler's truck was. Now, Tyler also has a car, and he has that was sitting at the house. It was still sitting there, right there in front of the house. So it was still there, and so he took off to the property to look for Tyler. Well, when he gets to the property, the truck is still sitting there, and there's no Tyler. And he just starts walking the woods the best that he could, yelling for Tyler, just yelling for him. In the meantime, at the time we did not know this, but found out later that Tyler's mother also had called a cousin of mine and Tyler's father that lived close by the property. And that cousin had gone out to the property early that morning to check to see if Tyler was there or the truck. And it was early. And as she had gone up there, Tyler's backpack was sitting on the tailgate of the truck, and it was open. And a lot of the things had been pulled out of the backpack and placed around it. And she noticed that, and noticed Tyler's medication prescriptions was pulled out. His Bible was pulled out. His notebook was pulled out. Everything was pulled out, and thought that was really odd. And she told me, she said, well, Tanya, I wanted to put it all back in there because it was starting to rain. Yeah. And she put everything back in the backpack, and she wrote Tyler a note in his notebook. She placed everything in his truck and placed the notebook on top and shut the doors and took care of all that. She kind of looked around a little bit, and then she left. So that happened before my brother got there. Not too long before my brother got there.
Okay.
The backpack and stuff was not left like that when they took Tyler.
I was just going to ask you this, so make sure I can ask you this specifically so this catches the audience's attention. What she is saying is, of course, she was just there. She was one of the few people that was there the day that Tyler got taken away by the police, and then also went back to the property. You know, so she would have known what the property looked like before he got taken and then after he got taken from that property. And she is saying there was a distinct difference as far as stuff at the truck before and after.
No, Tyler's mother knows that the backpack was not left in the truck, out of the truck like that. All right,
so it looked like in the time that... It looked like from the time that Tyler got taken away from by the police until she got back there a couple days later that things had been moved around or something.
Oh, the very next day.
The very next day. All right. So we could believe that maybe Tyler found a way back to that property. Maybe.
I mean, or
okay.
Possibly, or somebody moved
Somebody moved stuff around. Very good. I just want to make sure that it seems somebody was at that property in the next 24 hours.
Correct. Correct.
Okay, very good. All right, so she's going through that stuff. Makes all the sense in the world to go there, look around, and we're going to get into the specifics of that. When was the missing persons report filed? Who did that? What can you say about it?
Okay, that was the official report was filed Friday morning. The official missing person, Friday morning.
All right.
And his mother filed it officially with the Tupelo Police Department.
Okay.
On Friday morning.
Okay. And so, what can you say? Did the police do much? Did they get dogs involved? What did they do, or what they didn't do?
I can say what they did nothing.
Okay. All right.
They didn't go and talk to the hospital. They didn't get any kind of video footage. They took the report.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I have no idea what they did. I know what they didn't do, and they didn't do those things because we had papers sent to the hospital to try to get the video footage or some kind of video to see how he left the hospital, because at this point still no one came forward just saw him. Anybody that saw him leave on foot or in a vehicle or something, because he got from the hospital to his house somehow.
Right.
And no one was coming forward with that information. They told us I have the official papers that were sent from lawyer to their lawyer and back, and the paper said that they recorded over that footage on day 7, and they did not receive our request until day 10.
Wow.
So.
All right, and so what we're saying here is regarding the hospital is seemingly he I don't think anybody can dispute that he left all on his own. And we know how hospitals are full of video, but we have video cameras, but we have no video to this day of showing Tyler leaving the hospital.
None whatsoever.
Okay. We're we're going to get into this property a little, quite a bit. But as far as searches anywhere else, anything like that organized?
Nothing organized with anybody other than just us. We've done what we could do with the small group of people that we have, and 2 and 3 people at a time. We've split up and done our own thing, what we could, with different areas of Tupelo and the county there, and then we've done what we could. We still do it to this day.
Right. Now I want to remind everybody, he leaves the hospital Obviously, he gets back to the home that he is renting because his clothes are there, the paperwork's there. But that's only 45 minutes walking, so driving, I mean, I'm not saying he drove, but it's very close. But this property where he was living to the property that we've talked about, the 180 acres, like I'm just remind everybody that way, that's like 45 minutes away. To this day, we don't know if he is the one who went back out there. We don't know how he got back out there, if he did so.
Right.
Right? Right?
Right.
All right. No Uber or Lyft driver has come forward. No taxi driver has come forward. No friends, no family. Nobody has come forward.
No.
All right. And when we say 45 minutes there, we're actually not talking walking. We're talking driving.
Oh, absolutely.
All right. So that's like, let's just say 35 miles, which if you're going to walk, and I guess you can walk it, how much time do you have on your hands? But, all right, so I think that's something everybody needs to remember. Even though once again, we'll get to that in a bit. All right, and we have to remember there was a truck out there. What eventually happened to Tyler's truck that was on that property?
We eventually moved it, but we didn't move it till October.
Wow.
We moved it on. Yeah, we finally moved it October the 17th.
All right, so it just sat there on their property for that long?
Yes. Yeah.
Did you have the keys to it? I guess his mother had the keys to it? No.
Nobody had the keys.
All right.
At that point.
Okay. So somehow it still got towed.
Well, we eventually found them.
Oh, you did. All right. We'll get into that eventually. All right. So the truck was eventually taken away, but not in May, not until October.
Right.
Okay. And one more question before we get deeper into just about everything that we've covered here. Yes, everybody, we can go deeper on this stuff. There's some intricacies that we really need to flesh out here eventually. Yes. But Tyler's dog is also still missing to this day.
Yes.
And where was that? Where was that dog? Was it out at the property? Was it at his home where he was renting? What's the understanding on the dog?
As far as I know, and as far as the last person that saw Percy, he was at Tyler's house where he lives with Tyler. The last that we know. Wow. Okay. And my brother was the last person to see Percy, and he was at home.
All right. And I guess what we're saying also is when the police came to get Tyler that Tuesday morning, the dog was not with him.
They said there was not a dog there.
All right. And then the next day when everybody went over to the house, the dog wasn't there either.
No, okay. He was not.
What kind of dog is this? How big is it? I guess its name is Percy. I love that. What kind of dog is
Percy
it?
Johnson.
Yeah. What can you say about this dog? What it looks like? How big is it?
A mid-sized dog. Percy is like a blonde with some white. Blonde and white, and a pit lab mix. Just pretty dog, real pretty dog.
Pretty dog, okay. And like any dog owner, that was Tyler's love and joy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they were buddies. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So for all you animal lovers out there, for this disappearance, we also have a dog missing. We've encountered that before on Unfound. All right, I'm calling this the rest of the disappearance. We're going to talk about some stuff we've already covered, and we're going to add in some new stuff to the conversation. And I want to start it right here. Let's go back to late April. The call with his mother claiming that somebody was after him or people were after him and warning his brother. But now, here in 2026, of course, in the moment when you find out about this, well, you know, what's going on there. But since then, the last 2.5 years, any factual reason to connect anyone to Tyler's disappearance given what he told his mother back in April? Any threats toward her since then, or you, or his father, anyone else in the family regarding anything like that?
No direct threats.
Mm-hmm.
No direct threats that I know of. Okay. Nothing obvious, no.
All right, so he said that, but 2.5 years later, maybe he was telling the truth, but nothing has popped up. You haven't gotten any weird calls or emails, and if his mother did, I guess she didn't tell you about them, which she doesn't have to, but just nothing
Right.
that just hasn't borne any
haven't.
fruit in the last 2.5 years.
I have not gotten any direct threats against me, or anything like that. I mean, my brother has had something happen to him.
Yeah.
But that's just.
That's I know what you're talking about because I have information on that Emily, my assistant, sent me because you first spoke to her, and I want to thank Emily right now for doing great work and reaching out to people for this podcast. But I am familiar with that, but I'm not sure what to think of that, and we'll just I don't know if we want to get in deep in that, but your brother's had some issues since then, but I don't know if that's necessarily connected to the disappearance, right?
I'm sure that it is, but that's just like that. That's just I don't even know where that is.
Okay.
What that is.
All right.
So yeah.
Okay. But anything that's popped up, even did somebody find out something about Tyler's business in the last 200? Did he screw somebody over? Like, we have a lot of stuff here in Florida, like pool contractors who say they're going to build a pool, they'll take the money and then never come back. Very, very common here in Florida. Anything like that regarding Tyler?
No, nothing. Absolutely nothing like that. Nothing.
Okay.
Nothing like that.
Okay. If there's nothing, there's nothing. I just have to ask. That's.
I know. I mean that I've tried to check into, tried to check into everything that I could possibly think of in that direction of him owing somebody something big or something substantial, or a lot of that was one of the very first things that came to mind. Did he owe somebody money or something like that, or owe somebody something big? Try to find that out.
Okay. Let's move on to this. In retrospect, from May 9th to May 16th, is the consensus now that maybe Tyler was out at that property the whole time, or did he just get out there like the day before the police got there? And really, did anybody even know that Tyler was on that property until it was discovered that Tuesday morning of May 16th?
Me personally, my opinion is I don't think he was out there the whole time.
Okay. All right.
And I don't think he was because he was. There's witnesses that saw him and talked to him at a store, a local store in Hamilton, Alabama, early that morning. That morning that he called his brother, and they talked to him, and even told me personally, face to face, about the conversations that they had with him at that store. Mm-hmm. So I just feel like, I don't know, I don't think he was out there the entire time.
All right. And maybe this will come a little more into focus once we get to that part of getting into what was eventually found on the property. All right. The necklace story, we kind of just went by that very quickly, but the story is that when the police showed up, he comes walking out and he throws something over his shoulder, and when asked what it was, he said it was a necklace. I guess nobody actually went over to see what it was. Could you tell that, convey that to the listeners in your own words?
I absolutely do not think it was a necklace. None of us do. He never wore a necklace, ever. Mm-hmm. We honestly have no idea what it is. We've tried to get a metal detector out there, and it's like trying to find a needle in a haystack. Mm-hmm. But we have no idea what he threw over his shoulder or why. And we've even discussed if it was drugs, and
Yeah.
Oh, here's the cops. I mean, and then we thought, could it have been his keys? But then that doesn't make sense either. Why would he do that? It was small enough to throw something and possibly, hide it. But then it was big enough. I don't know. It makes no sense to us.
Okay.
I don't know. It's so weird.
All right, so he told the police, when they asked, what'd you just throw over your shoulder, he said a necklace. Nobody bothered to go over there and check that. But what we're also saying is when people started looking around, no necklace was found on the ground or anywhere else.
No.
All right. Okay,
and
so
why even
there's...
mention it?
All right, so there's that. And then also, we need to discuss that phone call. What exactly, or just want to go over this again, what exactly was it between Tyler and his younger brother that caused the younger brother to be concerned?
I'm not real sure, and I didn't hear everything, but evidently it was an ongoing argument between them, not between them two, but between Tyler and his mother. So I don't know.
I guess what I'm saying is when the younger brother was talking to Tyler, he said he called you, of course, and what was it? Tyler just sounded down. He sounded depressed. Did he sound, I have to ask, suicidal? I mean, what was it? Of course, we're just talking about a younger brother. He has no, I'm guessing, mental health experience, counseling anybody or anything, but there was something there. What exactly was it? Do you know?
Well, I just know that he said he was calling Tyler out and calling his bluff this time, and that he was tired of it, and that he was going to call him on his bluff.
Okay, calling his bluff. What does that?
Yeah.
What does that mean? Once again, being that I'm not part of the family, you are. What does that mean?
I'm assuming that he was tired of, that he was tired of Tyler and his mom arguing back and forth.
Okay. All right.
About the same thing over and over, evidently.
All right. Let's move on to this. Let's go back to the house now. Remember, there's proof that he did go back to his house after the hospital. Mm-hmm. Of course, the papers were there. His clothes were there. People who knew that house well, anything unusual, any signs of violence, any signs of a break-in? We'll cover that first.
At his house?
Yep, the house that Tyler was renting. Anything that really stuck out to them. Of course, the stuff is there. But anything unusual, violence, break-in, things missing, stuff like that.
At that time, nothing was unusual. When they first got to his house, there was nothing unusual at that time, except for my brother noticed that Tyler's gun was missing.
Wow.
That's the only thing that was noticed.
Okay.
And that was it. That's all that he noticed. Tyler had a Ring camera on his door.
Yeah.
And his mother, they disposed of it. I don't know what they did with it. I just know that he had one, and that they got rid of it.
You mean the very day they showed up at his house, they got rid of it?
His mother got rid of it. His mother said get rid of that, because and I asked why, and my younger nephew told me that she said that if he could access it from while they were there, that he could tell that they were there, and he could sneak back in when they weren't there or whatever, which makes sense. That makes sense to me, that he could hide from them and he could sneak back in, because she thought he was running off and and all of that, and so she's like, get rid of that so he can't see if we're here, because but they got rid of it.
So. Did it record anything? Any proof that it recorded anything? Surely, I think it would have a very good chance of picking something up if Tyler came back to the house, right?
Well, I mean, I said that, and I said, well, that's proof. I mean, or it could have, we could tell maybe who picked him up, or when did he get there, or you know, I kind of panicked, and he said, I threw it away. She told me to throw it away.
Never checked, not sure, maybe different systems have different ways of recording, but nothing was ever even checked?
No, not that I know of, no.
Okay, but no signs of violence, no break-in. Of course, he had this truck, but the car was there, right?
Right,
so So were the keys for it there? Was the car in running condition, or
yes.
But the keys
it was. The keys were not there. The car is in running condition. He could drive, but the car was there. The keys were not. From what I understand, the keys had been lost before that day. The keys had been lost. I don't know the whole story on that. I just know that they had been lost before that day. I just heard that.
Okay.
But the car was there.
How do you lose keys to a car? That is interesting. Okay.
Well, the rumor I heard on that was that they thought maybe the dog swallowed it.
Oh no, the keys are inside Percy. Percy swallowed the keys. All right, I don't know if I can. That would seem to be very unhealthy and everything.
Well, it was a push start, and it was just a little fob. I'm like, well, he would.
Yeah, fob.
We could get that.
Gotcha. All right. Okay, so the car was sitting there, and I guess what we're saying here, without the keys, I guess he couldn't drive it anywhere, but the key situation sounds unusual to me. But it
does to me, too.
Okay, and we have to remember his truck was not there. Where he was renting from his mother, houses on either side, would other people be in a position to see him showing up, walking away? What can you say?
I started asking with me. I was like, okay, did y'all go to the neighbors? Did y'all go across the street? Did you go next door? You know, and I'm like, I got to get over there. I got to get over there and start asking these questions. You know, I'm like, well, you know, the cops are coming. So at this point, I'm thinking that the cops are starting to ask and do their job and start asking, because this is a very, very crowded, normal in-town neighborhood. You can reach out and touch someone kind of neighborhood.
Okay.
Just house, you know. So, I'm assuming that that's what was going on.
All right, but we have no witnesses that have ever come forward in the last 2.5 years saying, yeah, I saw Tyler walk back from the hospital, go in his house, do some things, and leave with Percy. Nothing.
Not one single person.
All right.
Nobody saw him.
And do you know if anybody ever checked their Ring door cameras for anything?
As far as I know, no.
Cameras, nothing.
Not one single person at 3:30 in the afternoon on a beautiful Tuesday.
Okay. All right, let's now move. We have to remind everybody also that the walking distance from the Tupelo Hospital to the rental property where Tyler was living, 45 minutes walking, so very close. Let's move up now to around May 29th, and this is around this time is when a bunch of stuff was found on the property. Why don't you tell the listeners all about that?
Yes, that's where Tyler's camp was found.
Yeah, Tyler's camp. Yeah, let's talk about it.
Yes, it is on the upper backside of our property. An area was found where the top of the hill, where it kind of flattens out, but it's still very, very wooded. The tent, there is a tent. It was not put together. It was just laid on the ground. And the rest found that. There was some water kind of pooled on it, so evidently it had been there for a little bit. And a solar charger, a burner phone, the back was broke off of it. The SIMS card was missing. A couple of hats, like baseball caps, hats, a pocket knife, and his missing truck keys, Tyler's truck keys, and a rifle, fully loaded.
And that's the missing gun that was noticed from the house.
Yes.
And once again, this is
all
not...
of it belonged to Tyler.
And this is not just a pistol. This was actually an AR-15 rifle.
Yes.
Okay. Who discovered this stuff? How was it happened upon?
This was discovered by Tyler's mother.
Okay.
And two of his female cousins, and two of her friends. One of Tyler's friends that was helping search over in Mississippi, and my best friend came along from Mississippi.
So a lot of people were out there, and it was like 10 days later that this stuff was, maybe 12 days later that this all was discovered. Is it just because of the sheer size of the property that it took this long, or would you chalk it up to something, a different reason?
Well, this search was a surprise search. I didn't know anything about this search. I knew nothing about this search, and this happened spur of the moment. I was at work, and then all of a sudden, the next thing I know, I got a text that said, we're heading to your property. And I said, what? Yeah, that's where I was just told that we're going. And I was like, what happened? What's going on? What? And that's where they were all of a sudden, and on side by sides, and they were rip roaring through the woods, and that's what they found.
So this stuff was found by accident. Just looking around the property, and there you go. Okay.
From what I understand,
All right, and so this is, once again, you're calling it Tyler's campsite. I'm guessing this must have been it wasn't like near the road or anything, pretty remote area. Any particular reason that he would have picked that area in contrast to anywhere else to set up a camp?
Yes. Yes. I knew exactly when they found it, I already knew. I already knew. You would have to know the property to just know. This particular area on that property, if you were to be sitting there, even though you can't see anything from that location, you can hear everything from that location. You could tell if there was anybody coming up on you, you would know it from all directions. You could hear a pin drop from all directions.
All right, so what you're saying is your opinion is there's reason to believe this place was picked on purpose. This just wasn't a random place that he chose to put all this stuff and be there.
Not random at all.
Okay.
Not random at all.
Is there any reason to believe that all that stuff had been there, maybe even going back to May 9th? Anybody be able to put an exact date when all that stuff was left there or put there?
No, I don't think anybody could absolutely put an exact date. I think everybody has their own opinion. There's no absolute, there's no 100% proof of any of it, but, we all have our own opinion on it.
Right, all right, so no proof of that. Very good. Where is all that stuff now? Did the police collect it? Did it go back to his mother? What happened to all of it?
Well, the only thing that the police took that day was the phone. And Tyler's mother, I guess, took everything else, and she gave the rifle to Tyler's friend that day. And she gave that away, and I don't know what she did with the rest of it. And they took the phone to match it to the empty box Tyler's house in Tupelo, Mississippi. And that's what happened to it.
Okay. So what you're saying is eventually all that stuff was taken away. And, of course, the truck, though, sat out there for a while.
The truck is still there.
Sat out there.
And that
truck sat out there till October. But the other stuff was taken away as soon as it was found.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yes. And when my brother had gone out there that next day, after Tyler went missing, he brought the backpack back with him, but left the notebook that my cousin had wrote the note in, and he had left the notebook. And that day that they found all that stuff, Tyler's mother took the notebook back home with her that day.
And we're going to get to that notebook here in a minute. All right. Had anybody ever known Tyler to camp out there? Like you said that he had been out there, doing work, clearing trees and everything. Would he just maybe stay out there instead of driving the whole way back to his place? Was this something that was known, or is that a surprise to you?
I don't know absolute for sure if he ever did, but it would not surprise me at all.
All right,
if that makes sense. I don't know absolutely for sure.
That he was camping out there. That wouldn't surprise you.
No, it wouldn't surprise me a bit, because he's just a outdoors guy.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, gotcha. And most importantly, he wouldn't. It's your family's property. He wouldn't have to ask permission to do that. He could just do that anytime he wanted.
Yes, he could do it anytime he wanted to.
All right. So we got this camping and campsite, and I guess maybe we could put together that, of course, going back to that Tuesday morning, May 16th, that's where he was staying, and he's trying to charge his phone at the truck was there. He's having issues. Of course, he has the conversation with his younger brother, and the police show up. Maybe we could put that all together. Let's move up to this. You mentioned this notebook. It's an important part, and the listeners should know that Tanya's already given me permission to post it, so all of you can look at it when the episode comes out. But this notebook had something in it. Let's talk about it. What was it? Yeah, please.
This notebook was very special to Tyler anyway. He had a notebook that he carried around with him no matter what, and he would doodle in it, and he would draw, and he'd write, and he would just carry this notebook around. But he had wrote, there was a letter in the notebook, and it was a goodbye letter. Wow. Supposedly he wrote it, but it was wrote on a one part of the letter was wrote on something that he had drawn a couple of years earlier. He had drawn a flower in a pot, like in a flower pot. And this note was found in this notebook. Now, I don't know if it was in the notebook when it was found, or it was separated from the notebook and found at his house. I don't know.
Okay, and his mother found it.
Yeah.
All right.
And his mother found it.
Okay.
Yes.
And we're not going to read it. Everybody can go read it. It'll be posted on Facebook. It'll be posted on Unfound's website, theunfoundpodcast.com. It's pretty long and everything. I want everybody to read it for yourselves. But I do want to, it's like a goodbye note. You said that? Like a goodbye note?
I looked at when the very first time that I read it, from the very first time, I looked at it as a goodbye note. I never looked at it as anything else, but I also looked at it as Tyler didn't write it.
All right.
I never thought that Tyler wrote it.
We'll certainly have to get to that in a moment, but you're calling, just to be clear, and once again, everybody's going to read it, and of course they wouldn't know Tyler's handwriting, but they could certainly judge it on the content of what it says. But you're calling it a goodbye note. You are not calling it a suicide note, right?
No, I never did. But now his mother thought of it as something a little different.
Okay, but once again, you're though, when you read it, you don't translate it as being suicide. There's no, anything about killing himself in it.
No, there's not. Okay. There's not anything about that in it.
All right. And it is quite long. It's like 2.5 pages or something.
It's a page and a half.
Page and a half. Okay, page and a half. And like I said, everybody should absolutely go and find it. Once again, it'll be on our Facebook page, Facebook group, and also on Unfound's website, theunfoundpodcast.com, on Tyler's particular page for this episode. And so this notebook was in the truck. His mother gets it, and then I guess when she gets home, she discovers it. That's what she says.
Well, she never told me that she found it that day. She never told me exactly when she found it. I just know that she did not share it with me until June the 4th.
Okay, so if she discovered it, let's say this was discovered on the same day that all the stuff in the woods, the gun, and the campsite was discovered. She didn't bring it up until June 4th.
Right.
All right. Okay, so it's a little unclear. Now,
right.
There is, though, certainly the note has something to do with Tyler, but as you've already stated, I guess there is a difference of opinion on who wrote it.
Right.
All right, did that pop up from the beginning, or is that something that's like a thought that's developed over time, or what? Because that's a very, I think everybody can say it's a very controversial statement, Tanya, so I have to ask you about it.
It was immediately from the get-go. I said it from the get-go that Tyler didn't write it, because his son's name is misspelled.
All right,
and that was the first thing that very first thing.
Okay, and I know what the name is. We're not going to get into it here, but there's like a letter included that shouldn't be, or a letter that's missing that should be included, something like that, right? When you say misspelled.
Yes.
All right. Like maybe an example with my last name being Denzel, Dentzel. It is not uncommon for people to spell my last name Denzel and forget the T simply because there's Denzel Washington. It's something like that.
Right.
Right, and surely...
But you wouldn't misspell it.
Right, I would not misspell it. You're right, I would not misspell it. My dad would not misspell it. People who know me very, 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 very well would not misspell it. But if Tyler wrote that note, you're saying he misspelled his own son's name.
Right, and he's the one that named him.
Right, and the name is something that's not like John, but it's a name that's common within the United States of America in the English language. Right? And
it's not the most common, but it is something that was very special to Tyler.
All right. And when people look at the note, they're going to see it anyway, but I don't want to know if we want to get into it actually
No.
For scientific reasons, we can show the note, but for perfect purpose here, we're going to avoid that. All right. So he misspelled it. Now, would you say that you are in the minority in thinking that? Or would you say that you're in the majority? I don't know if you want to speak for Tyler's mother, but how about your own brother? What does he think about it?
He immediately said, "This is not Tyler's handwriting."
Okay.
Before he even read it.
Okay.
It was like, and yeah, I am the majority of everybody says that Tyler didn't write it.
Okay.
But they're going by handwriting. They know his handwriting better than I do.
Okay.
I'm going by, that was their first initial, just by looking at it, they're like, what? I'm going by what it says, of what it says, yeah.
Okay. We have to remember handwriting analysis, although it used to be something that was accepted, maybe most famously with the Zodiac Killer, trying to match up the handwriting of the Zodiac Killer to a variety of suspects. That was accepted back in the 1970s. Here in the 21st century, it's not so much a science, anymore, especially with all the technology we have today. So that has to be factored into this. But you told me that, looking at the letter, it's possible that it could have been written at like 3 different times or something like that.
Right.
Like part of it was written, and then part of it was written, and then somebody came back to it and wrote another part, and then wrote another part.
Yeah, something along those lines, and because there's financial parts of it at the bottom, and it's like 2 different personalities almost, with the way it's wrote.
Okay. So you, once again, your opinion, your brother's opinion. You look at the note, or you know what it says. Are you inclined to believe that Tyler wrote any of it, even one word?
I really thought there's a possibility that the very, very beginning of the letter could have been Tyler at the very beginning of the letter, which is the shorter part of the letter that the drawings on. That he may have started it in his notebook. He may have started it.
Okay. All right. Everybody can go check it out for themselves. They can read it for themselves. And, of course, none of you knew Tyler, or most of you probably, did not in the audience. But, you can look at it and determine what you think about this letter. Anything else you'd like to say about that letter, Tanya?
The drawing's his.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, that's fine. So the drawing, he was a good drawer. That's his, but the writing that goes along with it is suspect.
Yeah. No, most definitely.
Okay.
Because he was so poetic.
Okay. All right,
Just
let's
like
move.
A little kid wrote that.
All right, well that certainly, if he didn't write it, then this opens up a Pandora's box of all sorts of different possibilities with his disappearance. Okay. Let's move on to this. The phone records. I brought up very early in this conversation about California. Let's talk about those phone records. You found some calls when you started going back through his records. There's a lot of calls between his phone, at least one of his phones. Of course, we have this burner phone that we still have to talk about. But the official phone that he seemingly had for his business and talking to his son or whoever else, there were records to California. Did you? Please don't mention names, but you did find out who he was talking to in California, right?
On one of them, I did. Yeah.
Okay. And that was, and who did that person end up being?
An old friend.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was that person aware, once you tracked this friend down, was he aware that Tyler was missing?
Yeah. Had to have been, actually.
Okay.
But wasn't real nice about it.
He wasn't.
I don't know.
He wasn't.
No.
He was not real nice about it. What does that mean?
Well, just kind of rude.
I realize that. Can you give me a specific example? Did he act like, oh, really? Well, let's change the subject, or what? What do you mean by that? What did he do?
Well, no, was just kind of rude about it, and just didn't really acted almost kind of like I don't know anything about that kind of thing. I know, and I
He didn't sound like he cared. He didn't say, "Oh my gosh, he's missing." Really?
Right. Right. None of that.
All right. Okay. I mean, I just want to make sure, he was mad. He was rude. I mean, we need some examples or something.
Yeah, no, but I mean, just like they didn't. I really don't want to say they didn't care, because I don't know this person or know their personality to really know. But it was, they just was kind of like, well, I know, and I haven't seen him, and I don't know anything,
Okay. How, as best as you can tell, how did Tyler know this person? Did they know each other from school, from work?
Yeah.
From school.
Like grew up with each other kind of thing.
All right, so grew up together, but didn't seem too concerned that a guy he knew for all that time was missing.
Right.
Once again,
I would expect them to be a little bit more concerned than what they were.
Okay.
I would expect that, but like I said, I don't know this person's personality, so, and I had heard that their personality was very weird and dry.
Okay.
But I didn't want to be judgy.
All right, so,
I'm the aunt, so...
Okay, so any phone numbers on those records that you could not, on the official phone, that you could not determine who Tyler was talking to? Let's keep it reasonable, just within like a month before he went missing.
A month before, actually,
okay.
There has been a few right before he went missing. There's been a few.
All right,
that I still am not sure of.
All right, so there are numbers on these records. And by the way, how did you get these records?
His phone was on the same plan with his mother.
Okay.
And we thought that we were waiting on the police to get the phone records up until, well, it was the day that Tyler's camp was found. And on that day, we found out that he was on the same plan with his mother. We found that out that day.
So that made the records accessible.
And we're kind of like, he's on your plan? Why aren't we waiting on the cops to get the phone records then?
I agree.
Right. We didn't know that. So I'm like, give me your code. Let's print these out.
All right. So that's how you got the records. You got them on the up and up legally. And that there were numbers on there that to this day, maybe a few of them are still a question as to who he was talking to. Don't know.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. Because I just recently started going back through them again for about the 10th time, and checking them back out to see which ones they were.
Okay.
Because I periodically do go back through them and check them again.
Okay. What happened to his phone? The official phone?
The official phone is in a very safe place right now.
Okay.
I'm in control of that.
Okay, you personally have his phone that he was using.
Yes, I do.
All right, the one that he would use for business and all of that.
Yes.
You have it. All right. Now.
I do.
All right, but what about this burner phone that was found on the property? I think you said the chip was out of it or something like that. There was a box, I think, back at his house. Any proof, any knowledge as to when he bought that, how he was using it, anything?
The empty box was found after he went missing.
Okay.
It's from according to his mother, that empty box was not at his house before he went missing.
Huh.
Yes, she went through his house that Tuesday morning when his little brother was calling me, and she says it was not there, and they found that empty box after he went missing. So when they found that burner phone out there, and they took the burner phone, they matched it, and it did match that empty box that was back at his house.
All right, so this could be proof that he actually did go out to the property after he went to the hospital.
Yes.
All right, so once again, to kind of he's at the hospital. He obviously goes home because his clothes and the paperwork are there, but then The box for this was not there before the hospital, but it was at his house after the hospital, and then the phone that's connected to the box is found out at the property. That would seem to create the idea that somehow, yep, he did go back out to that property where he had been taken away by police the day before.
Yes.
All right. Any idea? But the phone, though, was found on the property. So he goes missing. Right. He doesn't take that phone with him.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Well, I'm just making sure we all understand this. Right. So it's possible that on the way home from the hospital, somehow, did he have any money with him or anything? His mother took his wallet. So how did that happen? Somehow he gets a phone on the way home. Lets the box go, or maybe he went home, got money, had money stashed in the house, went and got a phone, came home, dropped the box, but then in the end he still dumped that phone too.
Right. I have come across paperwork in the papers. Now these papers that I keep talking about, I did not get these papers until almost a year after he went missing.
All right.
And amongst these papers and all this paperwork, Tyler had a storage building.
Okay.
A storage unit that is in his name that is very, very close to his house in Tupelo.
Okay.
I'm just going to leave that there because I have no idea what's in it, what was in it, or anything. I just know that he had a storage unit.
All right. Did somebody eventually go out? Somebody did eventually go out to this storage unit?
Not yet.
Really? 2.5 years later, to your knowledge, nobody's gone out there and gotten access to it somehow?
Nobody has.
Wow.
Because I didn't get this paperwork till a year after he went missing, and then just went across the paperwork again and realized what all was there. And then I'm like, wait a minute. Because at first I thought it was his mother's, and then I realized that her name's not on it. I'm like, hold up. Trying to put it all together. No, it's just his.
Okay. All right, so he has this storage unit. Once again, to your knowledge, to his father's knowledge, to anybody's knowledge, nobody's gone and checked it out to see what's in it.
No, nobody has. Okay. I mean, I'm sure that nobody's been paying on it either.
Yeah, it might have been on that. It might have been on that show Storage Wars by this time. If your bill's not getting paid.
I mean, at the time that he went missing, I'm sure that it was paid up till then, and there's no reason for him to have had a storage room, to be honest, because he had storage at his house.
Yeah.
I don't know why he would even need one.
Have you ever tried to go out there and get access to it?
No, not yet, because it's in a total different state that I'm in.
Okay, well, that should probably be on your agenda for 2026 there, Tanya, when you can find the time.
As soon as I get over there, I will. I promise you that.
All right. Okay, so he has this storage unit, and that brings us back to the phone of this burner phone connected to the box. It was found out on the property. Just like the tent was, just like the gun was, just like all these other things.
Yes.
So, all right. His car. We have this car that was sitting out in front. Allegedly, the dog swallowed the fob. I'm not sure I believe that or not. I don't know.
I'm not either.
But the car eventually was... So it's sitting out in front of the rental home where he was living. And eventually got stolen. How did that happen? When did it happen?
February, around sometime in February of 24.
Wow, so not quite a year later, it sat there for quite a while.
It did, right there in front of his house.
All right. And somehow somebody stole it without the keys.
Right.
All right. What kind of car? What color? Were they able to track it down? Do you know?
No, there's still no signs of it. And it was the act of Congress just to get anybody to well, they never really did help us at all.
Yeah.
We just kept trying to track it down to see if it got towed for some odd reason, and trying to get Tupelo to help us out with that, and it's just ridiculous. And finally, just had to try to get the police to help us, and then tried to get the state. That's after his case got turned over to the state detective. Well, he didn't want me to file the report myself. He said he was going to take care of it, and then I found out like 6 to 8 months that he had not filed the report. So finally, I got filed the report.
All right, so but you don't believe it was towed away because it was sitting out there so long because it was like a nuisance or something. You believe that somebody actually stole it somehow, hot-wired it or something.
Well, it had to have been stolen. I mean, even if it got towed, nobody's admitting to towing it, so it would be considered stolen. Okay,
so this car is still missing all this time later. All right, so but his truck not missing was out there till October, but then in, like you said, February 2024, not quite a year later, the car is gone.
Yes.
All right.
It's
okay. Let's move on. Please.
I'm trying to think. Was that February 24 or 25? No, 24.
24.
Yes.
So not quite a year later. Very good. Okay. Just want to get this right. Now, you did talk about medication. Medication found at his, of course, for a mood disorder of some type, to your knowledge. Medication found at the house, found out there at the property, found in his truck. Any of it still lying around? Could he have disappeared with it? What can you say?
It was a prescription that was in his backpack for his medication, his daily medication. We thought it was actual medication that was in his backpack that was missing, but that's what we were thinking in the beginning. But it wasn't. It was a prescription for that medication. And that was a really big deal because I was thinking that whoever was going through his backpack had taken the medication, and it wasn't because the medication was important to someone else. It would have been important to him, and that made the difference, because it wasn't the kind of medication that would help out anybody but him. But it was actual prescription for that medication.
All right, but what about the medication itself?
There wasn't any of that particular medication at his house.
Was any medication, was any pills, once again, prescription pills, any prescription stuff, you get it from at a pharmacy, any found anywhere?
He had some prescriptions at his house of different things that were for his. He had fell off a ladder and hurt his back, and he had a couple of different things. At his house.
Okay. What about specifically the medication for, maybe his mental health? Anything lying around? Once again, to your knowledge.
No.
Okay.
Nothing that I know of.
Okay. Any proof that he was or was not taking this stuff? Because I have to be honest, it very well could be. There's a lot of maybe possibilities for Tyler's disappearance, but when you start telling me, as an experienced disappearance analyst of almost 400 disappearances now in 9.5 years, when you start telling me that he had some mental health issues going on, then he's talking to his mother, talking about how people are after him, but never uses any names, I have to admit, I first go to, this sounds like somebody is suffering from mania or paranoia. Very well could be that there were people after him. So I have to ask you, is there proof that he was actually taking this medication? Because as we know, there are a lot of people who get prescribed this stuff that don't like taking it because of all the side effects that he has. What do you know about Tyler?
And you are correct on that for sure.
Yeah. I know.
There wasn't any proof that he was or wasn't, because I was really trying my best to follow what was being said, about that medication. Because it's like 1 minute he wasn't taking it like he should, the next minute, okay, well, he had ran out, he needed to get it, and the next minute we're looking for medicine, the next minute we're looking for a prescription. And it was just yo-yoing back and forth, and I'm like, okay, we got to figure this out. What's the deal with the medicine? And the medicine, the prescriptions that was at his house had nothing to do with that one type.
Okay.
Had nothing to do with it whatsoever. It was just your average, medication in your medicine cabinet kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
There wasn't any of the medicine that's in question that was at his house. And his mother said that she didn't, that he wasn't taking it like he should, but then there's no medicine there.
Okay.
So honestly, I don't know. I wish I had a better answer, because it would make me feel better.
All right. Okay. Let's now go on to this, and this is regarding this property. I'm not sure how deep we want to go into all of this, but since this has happened, you've been keeping an eye on that property maybe more than you did beforehand, before Tyler went missing. And have you noticed some weird things going on at that property since then?
There's a lot of trespassing going on.
All right.
There's a lot of activity in trespassing.
Give the listeners some examples, maybe 2 or 3 different examples of what you've noticed. And first of all, you should say, at some point you installed some cameras down there?
Yeah, at one point I had 7.
7? I'm
down to very few, a lot more few than that.
Okay.
They've been stolen a couple of times since Tyler's been missing. And then at one point they gave 2 of them back.
Well, that was nice of them. How nice of them.
No, they erased most of the pictures, though.
All right, so what have you noticed on there?
There's been a lot of damage since Tyler went missing to the house. There's been a lot of damage, and there was never any damage at all. For 20 years, there's been no damage to the house, and now, since he went missing, there's been major damage. Busted windows right before Tyler went missing was the busted windows.
Mm-hmm.
Right before that. And Tyler's the one that found the busted windows. He was really upset about that. Mm-hmm. And so there was that. But since he went missing, busted doors. Door was ripped off its hinges. The ceiling in the basement they're ripping it up, just pulling drywall down. The cabinets in the countertop, ripped it up or busted it. There's just structural damage. It's horrible.
Okay, what have the police said about this?
Nothing.
Well, have you found any paperwork regarding all this damage and everything, or I mean?
In the very beginning, I did twice. That's it. I quit. Mm-hmm. I mean, I've got over 40. I've got 45,000 pictures of the property, and I've got pictures of people on the property. So,
what's going on down there? What's going on down there then? What has changed?
Well,
What has changed?
I don't know.
I mean, it sounds to me like Tyler's disappearance was like an inflection point between things are fine and then things went bad. Any insight at all?
Drugs, I think. I mean, I think drugs have a lot to do with it.
Has the neighborhood changed?
Has it changed? I don't know if it's changed.
Well,
or just
I could talk about my hometown of Leechburg, Pennsylvania. Certainly, the place has gone kind of run down since I lived there, and it probably was even starting to get a little run down there when I lived there in the 80s. But, things have changed there, and a lot of abandoned houses, and people who inherited properties who don't take care of them, and things like that. Is that's what's going on there? Because it can then bring out meth labs and everything else. What would you say?
Well, I mean, there's no houses out there to be abandoned. So, I mean, it's the same people that own the property that's always owned it. So, I mean, that's how rural this area is. But it's not. But there's no. What's the word for it? You can get away with anything out there because there's nobody watching. Because there's nothing out there, if that makes sense. I don't live out there,
right.
And I don't live on that property. And then all the big spaces out there. There's nobody out there all the time. And I told you it was on the line of Marion and Lamar County, and so the county deputies they're not out there all the time.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I've found signs of possible manufacturing of drugs on the property.
Mm-hmm.
From what I'm told, that's what that looks like.
Okay. And in fact, you've even stated about like a UPS driver's truck stopping and things like that, right?
Yeah, and I don't know who the UPS is delivering to, because there's nobody lives there.
Okay. And I also have it in my notes about something having to do with the power company or the electric company down there. What is this about? I have it in my notes.
Okay. Well, I think this is what got me banned from TikTok.
It won't get you banned here, Tanya, so fire away.
Okay. So I have got pictures of the electric company coming onto the property in June of 23, and they have no reason to be on the property at all whatsoever. And they didn't call nobody, they didn't tell anybody anything, and they just went through, opened the gate, went through the gate, went up the driveway. Have no idea why. And I thought it was very odd, and well, it was. They've never done that before that I know of, and I called to find out why. And it took them 2 or 3 days to even call me back, to even tell me anything. Well, my aunt ended up telling me, and it was probably, it had been a while, but she remembered someone calling her either right before or just right after Tyler went missing. But it was around that time. And they were telling, and from the electric company, and they said that the reason they were calling her is because they were having trouble with the order that was put in to turn on the electricity and get the electricity going for the property out there. And she said, "Excuse me?" And they said, "Yes, ma'am, we're having trouble with the order that you've got in for the electricity for it to be turned on and taken care of out at the property." She said, no, there's no order. There's no order for the electricity. What are you talking about? There's been no electricity. There's been nobody living there for 20 years. What are you talking about? Yes, ma'am. Well, yes, we have this order. And she said, who signed that order? And they said her name and with the family name. And she said, no. And Well, they put her on hold, and they came back, and there was some ruffling. She could hear them going on, and the woman got really odd sounding and nervous. And the woman told her, she said, "Oh, well, there must have been a mistake. It may have been the other property, and just like got really weird and ended up hanging up." And I said, "Oh my, what?" And she said, "I totally forgot about it because Tyler was missing, and this all went kind of haywire." And I'm like, oh my goodness. Somebody had signed and tried to get the electricity turned on out there and signed her name.
Signed whose name? Tyler's mother's name?
No, my aunt.
Your aunt?
My aunt.
Okay, your aunt.
Yes.
Name. Okay.
The family name.
Right.
The
right.
people that own it. Yeah. Yes.
So somebody called in trying to get the power turned on out there, and you got in the way of that.
Evidently. Evidently. We caught them in it.
Right,
and and there was a problem, and they called my aunt.
Yes, right, gotcha.
Somebody at the electric company, and
how long? And when did this happen? Within the past year or in 2024?
They called her accidentally, I do believe, and she forgot about the phone call. I caught them on the property June of 23. Is when I caught them on the camera.
Okay. Wow. And so, to your knowledge, the power is still off out there?
To my knowledge, it is off. But I've got several pictures of electric trucks, bucket trucks, down by the gate at the road, at the highway, at my gate, but right outside of it. Okay. And they're on camera. They're not on the property, they're just right outside the gate.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. And but the vandalism, as you've described it, it continues to this day here in early 2026?
Yes.
It does. Okay.
Yeah. I've got actual vehicles and people just this summer actually on the property on camera.
Ever get anybody, of course you don't live near there, can't you get some other family member to go down there and see what's going on?
No, I mean, it's just us. I mean, me or my brother or my cousin that lives over in Mississippi also. I mean, there's not very many of us left. So.
All right. So we have this. Not sure what it has to do with Tyler's disappearance, but there certainly seems some things are out of sort down there, and it does seem to me that Tyler is, the way you described it, Tyler's disappearance is like a line in the sand between everything on that property being respected to nothing on that property being respected, right?
Yeah.
Perception.
It's kind of scary, but yeah.
Okay. Let's move on to this. We're almost done here. We've got 2 hours and 45 minutes into this. It does seem to me, we'll start the conclusion this way. My insight, is there a divide in Tyler's family as to what to do regarding his disappearance and what actually happened? Would you say there is a split?
Like, between...
Yeah, what people, of course, as an example, the letter. I mean, you don't think that it was written by him. I'm thinking there are people within the family who do think, that's a big issue. So, overall, would you say that there is an idea between, different theories regarding Tyler going missing? Would you say your family's split, or would you say there's a consensus?
The family's not split. On his father's side, the family's not split. If that makes sense.
Okay.
And now amongst us, we all have different ideas of maybe what has happened. up to this point, but we're not split on the letter. None. Most. Well, we all believe that he did not write it.
Okay.
We don't know who did or where it came from, but we all believe that he didn't do it. That he didn't write it. But we all have different ideas of what has happened to him.
Okay. All right. So nobody disputes that he got taken to the hospital, but somehow he left the hospital without anybody seeing. He obviously made it back to his house. We have the proof of the clothes. We have proof of the paperwork. Maybe proof that the dog is missing is also proof that he made it back there. And we could even go further to say that there seems to be decent proof, although I would not necessarily say it's 100%, but pretty close to it, that he actually even went back out to that property. And it is still missing here, to this point in 2026. Although we can understand how he made it from the hospital to his house, a lot harder to understand how he made it from his house out to the property, especially since his truck was out at the property already, and the car was certainly never moved. So this is hard to understand. How hard is, you're the one I'm talking to today. I'm not talking to his mother or his father. I'm talking to you. How did you become in charge of all of this, Tanya?
How did I? Well, I don't really know how I did. I just know that I took it upon myself because I realized that nothing was being done, and it scared me when I realized that that they weren't looking for him. That the Tupelo Police Department, from the get-go, they said that he left on his own and that they weren't looking. And I refuse to believe that. I absolutely refuse to believe that. And I was not going to let that happen. That I said, no, I don't believe it. And if that's his choice, then let it be his choice. But he's going to tell me that's what he wants. And that's fine. But I want him to tell me that. But that's not the Tyler I know. There's something wrong. And I just took it from there because I love him. That's my boy, and I love him, and he wouldn't give up on me.
What have your sons, who you said were very good friends with him, what have they said about all this?
Say, my kids? Did you say that?
Yeah, your kids, yeah.
No, they say the same thing that I say. Basically what I just said. My son, he is at the point where he gets mad. He gets upset and he gets mad now that nobody's been looking. Because Tyler had a lot of friends, and he has a lot of friends, but it's like, where are those friends? Where have they been? Were they really friends? What's going on? He don't understand, and they haven't. And they, he's just confused as to where have they been, and why haven't they helped, and where have they been, and what's going on with all of that, and if there's confusion, then why haven't they asked, or there's just confused with all of that.
Yeah.
Because we haven't had a whole lot. We haven't had any whole lot of help.
Yeah. I can tell. I can tell. I can certainly tell. Okay. What about emotionally? You said, of course, he'd never give. If you went missing, he'd never give up on you and everything. I mean, a huge emotional toll. Maybe I'm not gonna. His mother's not related to you, so maybe you should speak for your brother, his father. How would you to speak for him a little bit?
Oh, my brother, he worships the ground that Tyler walks on, the time, like he wished that he would have been, and I know that's killing him right now. And I promised him, and I promised my great nephew that I'd never give up, and I won't. My brother does everything that he possibly can, and he don't have the means to do as much as he wants to do, and that just really hurts him, because he wants to do everything, but he don't have the money, he don't have the means, he don't have the ability, and it is driving him absolutely mad that he can't. It's hard. It's so hard. It's mentally and emotionally hard, and he's trying to be as strong as he possibly can, but it's breaking him down so bad, and that's hard to watch.
Yeah.
It's real hard to watch.
Tanya, do you have a Facebook page, website, anything like that set up for Tyler's disappearance? If so, why don't you tell the listeners about it right now?
Well, I did. I've had one or two, and then they've been cut off. And then, of course, like I said, my TikTok has been shut down twice. So, right now, we don't have a Facebook or a TikTok anymore.
Well, I have to ask, what did you do? Because I'm not saying it never happens, but what did you do to earn losing a Facebook page or losing a TikTok account? What did you do?
I don't know. I have no idea. I've appealed the TikTok. I've appealed it. I got it back, appealed it, got it back, and then this time I haven't gotten it back. The videos, they've given me the excuse this time that something to do with the last video that I posted. I don't even cuss at all. I don't even cuss. I've never cussed on my video. But the last video had the picture of the electric company coming onto the property. So I'm thinking that's what did it.
I see.
Yeah, probably.
What? It's your camera. It's on your property. What's the problem?
Evidently, it upset somebody and they turned it in.
Do you think the electric company turned you in?
Somebody did.
Do they not have better things to do? That's weird.
I mean, well, it is, Marion County, Alabama, so I don't know.
Okay. All right. So no Facebook page, not a ton of social media presence right now.
Just I post quite a bit, but then when I post too much on Facebook, they will slow my Facebook down. I've noticed. Yeah. So, but I'm actually working on a separate Facebook page dedicated to Tyler that people can join and leave it open, because I've had private pages, and then that just blew up in my face. People were making such a huge deal about it because it was a private page, and it backfired, and I had to shut that off. It was crazy. I'm telling you, it's made so much drama. So I'm going to do an open page of Tyler missing, and it will be open to the public, and people can join it and join in on it and help and do, help out and all kinds of things.
Okay.
And I can let you know later and give you that information on that.
All right.
Now I have candlelights, vigils. I've done that, and I try to publicize that as much as I possibly can. I do that, and I literally myself make all the posters. I do T-shirts. And I literally make them myself. I've had grilled hot dogs myself. We do it ourselves. Stickers, everything. myself, and I try to do as much as I possibly can and get it out there and put up the posters myself, and try to do everything I can to try to get his case out there.
Okay. Tanya, any final words before we complete this interview?
If anybody, I don't care how big, how small, anybody knows anything, sees anything, have heard anything, I don't even care if it's a rumor or, I don't care what it is. If you think it's going to hurt me or not hurt me, I don't care. I promise you I've heard it. Please let me know. Please let me know. That's all I ask. Because you never know. It could matter, whatever it may be.
Right. Tanya, thank you for joining me and all of the listeners on this episode of Unfound.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. And that was my January 21st, 2026 interview with Tanya, aunt of Tyler Johnson. I thank her for joining me and all of you on this episode. I also need to thank Assistant Emily, who did the work of reaching out to Tanya, collecting all the facts, and delivering them to me. Great job, Emily. Also, please go to Unfound's website to view for yourself the goodbye note that was found in Tyler's notebook. What do you make of it? And maybe that is as good a place to start with this summation as any. Yes, I know, saying that someone else wrote the note besides Tyler would usually be a little too out there and sensational for me. The mere sound of it could keep Redditors going for hours. Yet, Tanya made a good point. If Tyler wrote it, how could he misspell his own son's name? But what I would say in looking at that word in the letter, yes, it's misspelled. But it's more like someone made a mistake while writing with two letters overlapping each other than what we could really call a misspelling. However, how could Tyler write most of the letter correctly with few mistakes, but mess that up? Hard to understand. But I think that would be hard to understand for anyone who would have had access to the notebook. Those would all be people close to Tyler who surely would not make a mistake spelling the son's name either. And if some stranger wrote the note, how did that person get access to a piece of paper that had a drawing on it done by Tyler well before the note was surely written? You can try to answer that for yourselves. The other big issue is that late April call between Tyler and his mother, where he claimed that somebody was after him and she needed to get police protection. Tyler didn't mention any names. Not that I am a psychology professional, but this is just about textbook paranoia and schizophrenia behavior as you can get. Especially since we know no harm has come to anyone in Tyler's family since the disappearance. And that's the part I think we need to concentrate on. If somebody were really trying to harm Tyler since April, would that person or group really then take the time to craft a goodbye note? Because if somebody caused Tyler's disappearance, then that person or group wrote the note. Those 2 points are surely not separate from each other, right? Or am I missing something? And that's the program. I'm Ed Dunsel, and you've been listening to Unfound.